From the CSI Baseball Complex on the campus of the College of Staten Island, CSI Sportsnet welcomes you into NCAA Division II baseball coverage live on the ECC Network. In today's conference matchup, the College of Staten Island Dolphins host the Queens College Knights. Good morning, everybody. My name is Joe Foreman, alongside my broadcast partner, Nick Bavona. And Nick, this doubleheader is a big one for both teams. The Dolphins come in with a record of 7-7 against the ECC. The Knights come in with a record of 8-6. So Queens with a one-game advantage right now in the conference standings. That being said, if either team can take both games in today's doubleheader, they will claim the season series and that all-important tiebreaker as we wind down toward the end of the conference season later this month. The Dolphins also, with 2 wins, could leapfrog Queens in the standings. However, the Knights would only need one game today to ensure that they stay in front of CSI.
And talk about what we saw yesterday in Queens between these two teams. Game 1 with the Dolphins winning by a final of 9-7. A game in which it looked like they were in trouble later on. They had a 9-5 lead going into the 8th inning, gave up a run in that 8th inning. They then would give up another run in the 9th, able to hold on for a 9-7 win and take Game 1 of that doubleheader. Game 2, unfortunately for the Dolphins, started out slow. They got down to a 6-2 lead after the end of the first inning. They did tie the game in the 5th inning take the lead, in the 5th inning with a 5-run 5th. They would then give up the lead in the bottom half of the inning, and then they would ultimately lose the game 11-10. That's a pivotal game right now, as you mentioned, how the standings are currently going for these two teams, and with Queens winning that game, they now have a one-game advantage in conference play so far between the two, with 2 more games here today.
And taking a look at some of the statistical standouts for the Dolphins in the doubleheader yesterday against Queens on the road, A.J. Vigliotti in Game 1, 3 for 5 with 5 runs batted in. He also homered in that first game. Owen Weber getting the start at second base for the Dolphins, also had a couple of base hits. He drove in 3 runs. It was also a 3-hit Game 1 for Brian Burkhead. But how about Chris Polamini in Game 2? He was 2 for 4, 5 RBIs, a run scored, hit an all-important grand slam, which at the time gave CSI the lead. That lead got away late in Game 2 as the Dolphins fell by a run. Michael Palermo also had 3 hits in the second game for CSI. But Christian Rice will take the mound for the College of Staten Island today, and after what was a slugfest for 2 games yesterday, the Dolphins are going to need some length out of their starting pitcher in this game. And Nick, we've said it time and time again this season. The big challenge for the Dolphins late in games has been the final 6 outs. Today, they have 2 9-inning games to play against this Queens College Knights team, and whichever side gets a quality outing from their starter in Game 1 is put in a very advantageous position.
And I think the key to this game, obviously, is getting the length out of those your pitchers, as you just mentioned. With 2 9-inning games, you obviously want to make sure you have enough bullpen depth. Obviously, we saw with the 2 games yesterday, both teams had to go to their bullpens at some points in those games, but also had to think about saving their bullpen, some of their arms for today's 2 games. So a lot is to be at stake for this game, obviously, with the pivotal matchup and how the standings are going right now, and obviously with the pitchers and what they need to do in this game to get their team some all-important conference wins to try to get themselves into a playoff position. It's going to be really crucial for both of these pitchers here today.
And we'll get a look at the pitching matchup in just a moment. First, we'll start with CSI starting pitcher Christian Rice. Rice, coming in on the season, has appeared in 6 games. All of those starts, he's pitched to a 5.46 ERA with a whip of 1.68 and a record of 2 wins against 1 defeat. In 28 innings, he's allowed 28 hits and 22 runs, 17 of those earned. He's walked 19 and struck out 25. Opposing batters hitting just 264 against him. But, Nick, you know the Dolphins would like to see that walk number come down, 19 in just 28 innings thus far.
I was going to mention his walk number, unfortunately, has been the big issue for him this season. And we've seen that in some of the games he's pitched this season, where he gets off to a slow start in about the start of the game around the first, second inning, gets into a early pitch count that unfortunately does him in. But he does develop nicely as the game goes along and gives the Dolphins some key innings, which they're obviously going to need today, as we mentioned already before. But the last time he came out was to get sacked just last week. Obviously wants to bounce back from that loss against the Spartans. And with the matchup with the Knights here today, obviously they got to see what they saw from the Knights lineup yesterday Game 1, they scored 7 runs, as we mentioned, 11 runs in game number 2, so they know this Knights team can hit.
Well, taking a look at the other side of the starting pitching matchup, the Knights will send who has been, statistically, their ace to the mound for this game. Jordan Sanabria will get the start for Queens College. He comes in with a 3.56 ERA. That has to put him among the leaders in the East Coast Conference for starting pitchers anyway. He's pitched to a tough luck 0-4 record despite the 3.56 ERA with a whip of 1.37 across 8 appearances and 6 starts. In 43 innings, he has allowed 41 hits and 26 runs, 17 of those earned. He has walked 18 and struck out 40 opposing batters, hitting at just .244 against Sanabria on the season. So a tough test for this Dolphins lineup in this game, and it's a Dolphins lineup that over the last 8 games in 2 conference series against Lincoln, and I should say going back to the series against Lincoln anyway, we had the series against Stack in between, but going back to the last series here at home anyway against Lincoln, and now to start this series against Queens, Dolphins have put up some really big offensive numbers.
And we've seen the Dolphins offense kind of spark in these last couple of weeks. Obviously, you mentioned those Lincoln matchups where it looked like at some points in those games they were going to do themselves early in, but they got some really big offensive numbers. And then we mentioned what they did yesterday in Queens. Obviously, they did some good numbers against Stack as well when they were here as well. So I think really where we come down to this matchup is, will we see the same offensive spark that we saw yesterday from these two teams, or will we see the pitchers be the difference maker in these two games with a lot on the line for them?
Well, the Dolphins have gotten some standout performances offensively throughout this season. I mentioned before some of the big names from yesterday's doubleheader, including A.J. Vigliotti and Chris Polamini. That duo right now leading the Dolphins in batting. Polamini hitting at .362, Vigliotti hitting at .357. That duo has also combined for 7 home runs this year. As a team, the Dolphins have hit just 12. Vigliotti now with an OPS of an even 1,000. Polamini just shy of the 1,000 mark at .978. So those two have really led the way for the Dolphins offensively this year in terms of the numbers. But CSI has gotten some solid contributions from a lot of newcomers to this team and some from returning players who have seen an increased role.
And one of those mentioned is Vincent Weigel. How about the start he had to the season? Remember, Joe, at one point he got benched because of an offensive slump that he had to start the season. Has now really picked it up these last couple of weeks and is now back into the top half of the order for the Dolphins, batting 5th for the CSI in the lineup here today. He's one of those contributors from last season that we saw had a really good freshman campaign, now comes back from his sophomore year, and after a slow start has now picked it up. And the Dolphins have seen some good contributions from him, not only at the bat, but also in the field as well.
Well, a name that we've heard a lot around the East Coast Conference on the side of Queens, Yorsix Jimenez. He is the Knights' leading hitter coming into this game. Not much of a surprise there, hitting at .387 on the year with an OPS of 1140. He has appeared in and started 31 of the 32 games Queens has played this year, and he is hitting, as I mentioned, .387 with 29 runs scored, 14 doubles, a triple, and 5 home runs, 35 runs batted in, slugging at .647 with an on-base percentage of nearly .500. The Knights have 4 position players that are also their 4 leaders in batting with an on-base percentage up above the .400 mark. So this Queens team has plenty of tough outs. Christian Rice and the Dolphins pitching staff certainly going to have their hands full.
As we mentioned with Rice's walk issues he's had this season, you'd have to think that the Knights will definitely try to work the count for Rice here in this game here today. And obviously, not only try to force some walks, but also try to get on the field and get some hits. We know they obviously have great offensive numbers on the season, as you just mentioned before. And that's something the Dolphins will have to contend with here today. We know these two teams can certainly hit. That's why I mentioned the pitchers are going to have a tough time in this matchup. But after what we saw yesterday, the question is going to be, can that offensive consistency from these two teams continue here today? Or will the pitchers be the reason why one of these two teams get at least 1 or 2 of these 2 games here today?
And one other aspect of this matchup between the Dolphins and the Knights that I'd like to touch on, if you take a look at the stolen base numbers for Queens, look at Philip Carpata. 30 of 33 on stolen base attempts. The aforementioned Yorsix Jimenez, 11 of 13. But the Knights overall this season, 59 of 70 stealing bases. The Dolphins, not a team that runs too much, 43 of 53 for the Dolphins. So they're running a bit more than we've seen in seasons past, but the Dolphins have allowed 66 of 83 base stealers to steal bases successfully. So the Dolphins will certainly have their hands full managing the running game of this Queens College Knights team. And for a pitching staff that at times has had trouble finding the strike zone, having to pay that extra attention to runners certainly could have an impact.
Yeah, it surely should have an impact in this game. As we know, when it comes to base stealing in this one, who knows what could happen. Obviously, if walks go down for the Knights and they get on base, if you get one of those two batters in Jimenez or Capata to get on base, that provides a great offensive chance for the Knights to get something with a runner in scoring position as well. And then that could really, do the Dolphins in early on in this game. If the Knights can get on early, then the CSI could be in a situation where they're trailing from behind early. But as we know, Joe, this Dolphins team does come back from early deficits to make this one a game.
If yesterday's doubleheader was any indication, we should have a good one coming up here on CSI Sportsnet. But until first pitch, Nick and I will step aside and take a break, as Nick has to take over on Public Address to introduce both teams in the starting lineups. He rejoins me in time for first pitch, coming up next here on the ECC Network. This has been the McDonald's pregame show, and coming up next, the College of Staten Island will host the Queens College Knights. G Aesthetics Med Spa and Wellness Center. Our approach to beauty and wellness begins with a holistic plan tailored to the unique needs of our patients. When we consult with patients, we let them tell us what their problem is. We don't tell them what the issue is. We find out what they're looking for, and we discuss, and then we give them options. If you're looking to achieve radiant skin, you've come to the right place. We offer hydrofacials, microneedling, Opus Plasma, peels, facial and laser treatments, laser hair removal, body sculpting, fat freezing, hormone replacement therapy, Botox, IV drip therapy, and more. We are open Monday through Saturday and are located at 720 Forest Avenue, Staten Island, New York, 10310. We hope to see you soon. Visit our website at www.chiaesthetics.com for more information.
The Kettle Black on Staten Island, a top 5 wing joint in America by Food and Wine magazine. Serving daily lunch and dinner at the bar or on the floor. Perfect for family and group parties with top shelf drink and delicious food. From great times with good friends. Live sports and watch parties. To Staten Island's hottest nightlife. The Kettle Black features live music and DJs weekly. The Kettle Black features daily and nightly food and drink specials. The best Staten Island has to offer is at the Kettle Black. We'll see you there at the Kettle Black, located on 415 Forest Avenue, Staten Island.
Hobra, a taco joint, Staten Island, where we're proud to have shared our family-first spirit with people from throughout New York City and the world. With indoor dining available both at the bar and on the floor. Or step outside for additional seating and an outdoor bar. Serving beer that's crisp, ice cold, and worthy of a day at the beach. Cocktails that explode with flavor. And great food made with the freshest and healthiest ingredients available. Events feature food and drink specials, live music, and the best of Staten Island nightlife. Your CSI Student ID saves you 10% on your dine-in order at Hobra. Visit us at 412 Forest Avenue, Staten Island.
No, I'm right. The podcast that uncovers the origin stories of some of the biggest names in sports, media, and entertainment. Nick Durst here along with Joe Calabrese.
Here we are, 200 episodes later, about 150 episodes with guests, our friends, soon to be your friends.
Well, it's pretty clear, Joe, that it's all about You Know I'm Right, the podcast. That's my You Know I'm Right moment. Wanted to do a podcast, and everyone was like, what are you, crazy? Who's going to listen? You're not going to get guests. Well, guess what? I'm the best when it comes to getting guests. You could vouch for that.
I am so happy that you asked me to do this. I couldn't have been more thrilled. And follow us on socials, check us out. I promise you, if you want to work in media, whether you work in media now, whether you want to quit your job and work in media, come to us, and I promise you, we will get you on the right foot.
That's what it's all about, uncovering the origin stories of some of the biggest names in sports, media, and entertainment. Keep it locked on You Know I'm Right.
And we are back from the CSI Baseball Complex, just moments away from first pitch between the College of Staten Island Dolphins and the Queens College Knights. Once again, this is Joe Foreman on the call alongside Nick Pavona. And Nick, great job on public address.
Thank
You're
you.
back in the commentary booth where you belong, and we will be here all day long 2 9-inning games between the Dolphins and the Knights today. You don't see it too often. We are now seeing this for the second time this season.
I just called the previous 2 9-inning doubleheader when we had Lincoln here a couple weeks ago. So not too familiar with this one. I've seen it a couple of times already, but we are here today, obviously, for 2 games. And as we mentioned, how big these games are for these 2 teams. Obviously, if any of these 2 teams get both games, that really puts a good advantage for them in the conference standings and making the playoffs down the line this season. So a lot on the line for these 2 teams. And obviously, after what we saw yesterday from the 2, we could be in store for a great doubleheader here today.
As I've heard it said before, it is getting late early for both of these teams. Only 2 weekends of conference play left in the ECC. The Dolphins yet to face D'Youville and yet to face Malloy. Those games upcoming, D'Youville on the road, Malloy here at the CSI Baseball Complex. But first, 2 more with their CUNY rival. The Dolphins and the Knights, the only 2 Division II CUNY programs. We've said that many times before, and those 2 Division II CUNY programs will face off here on the ECC Network today. Nick, I'm going to step out of the booth and adjust our pitcher-batter camera. I'll be right back.
Okay. And while Joe does that, I will obviously mention, if you can see from our wide shot, the Dolphins wearing pink today in honor of breast cancer awareness. Today is Breast Cancer Awareness Day. Here at the College of Staten Island, so the Dolphins wearing their pink uniforms in the honor of fight against breast cancer. And obviously, with that also being done, the Dolphins, which we know, have this big two games here today. And also, for the fans here in attendance today, it is baseball bingo. So a lot to be played here today at the College of Staten Island, as we're just about to be underway here.
Number 33, Phil Carpata.
Phil Carpata will lead it off for the Knights. As soon as Joe comes back in the room, I will change it to our pitcher-batter cam. I think we are good. For now, we'll leave it on the wide shot. Carpata will lead it off, as Joe mentioned. 30 stolen bases on the season already. He's had himself a great start to the year. Zawa misses for a ball, 1-0. So we mentioned Christian Rice getting the start for CSI here today. And he's quickly behind the count, 2-0. As Carpata had to back out of the way on that one. And Joe, you're back. 2-0 count now for Christian Rice against Carpata.
All right, so I heard myself on public address from outside. It was very, very loud.
Very, very loud.
So we got that taken care of.
I had to try to overtalk the music while I was doing the starting lineups. I probably could have,
the
lowered
music
it.
isn't what was loud. It was my voice.
Oh, okay.
That was very loud as the 2-1 pitch misses down and away for ball 3. So very early, Nick. We discussed it in the pregame. Walks have been an issue for Christian Rice. First batter he faces, a man with 30 stolen bases, has a 3-ball count.
Does not want to put Carpata on base with an early walk.
And he does just that as the breaking ball misses down and away. And a bit surprised to see a breaking ball on 3-1?
3-1 count, yeah, I'm very surprised. I think trying to force him to, chase at something there, but maybe on a 2-1 count you would do that, not on 3-1. And now you put yourself in a tough spot where, obviously, with Carpata now at first, now Christian Rice is going to have to pay a lot of close attention to him on the base path to try to make sure he doesn't steal second here.
Well, if you look at the left side of the infield, Dolphins have the corner in. As the first pitch is taken for a ball by Jacobson. Get you the starting lineups for both teams in just a moment. Perhaps following this next pitch. Phil Carpata, leading off for the Knights, stands on first base, following a leadoff walk, and Rice will check on him. Batting second will be number 7, Robert Jacobson. Your 6, Jimenez, will bat third. Mark Sisko will hit in the cleanup spot. Joey Patain will bat 5th. As we await the 1-0 pitch. The runner going. Throw by Kehoe is way upstairs, and that sails into center field. So Carpata wreaking havoc on the base paths early, Nick. We highlighted him in the pregame. And a leadoff walk sets up Queens with a runner on third. Nobody out, and a 2-0 count on their number 2 hitter.
And now a dangerous spot for the Dolphins early in this game. We mentioned earlier, if Carpata was to get on base to start this game early and then get into second on a stolen base, it would wreak havoc. And not only did he get to second, but on the wild throw, he gets to third base. So now the Knights with an early run opportunity here with still nobody out.
And the 2-0 misses wide for ball 3. Batting 6th for the Knights, number 9, Francis Segara. Batting 7th is number 6, Bobby Gitto. As the 3-0 is on its way. And that gets by Kehoe. He can't find it. And the game's first run comes in to score. It's ball 4 and a passed ball as the Dolphins quickly fall behind 1-0.
Not an ideal start for CSI. Back-to-back walks issued by Rice here to start the game, and with that pass ball allows the Knights to take an early 1-0 lead. So not the start CSI needs. Rice needs to find the strike zone here in this inning if he wants to escape limit the damage here.
To round out the Queens lineup, batting 8th is number 5, Michael Velarde. Batting 9th is number 17, Nick Berrios. Yorsix Jimenez at the plate here. Another dangerous base stealer. Even more dangerous with his bat. As I mentioned during the pregame, he comes in Queens' leading hitter, an OPS of 1140. He does it all for the Knights. As they'll check on the runner at first once again. In terms of stolen bases, Jacobson not the threat that Carpata or Jimenez is. He's just 1 for 3 on the year. Rice ahead of Jimenez 0-1. And the breaking ball is in for a called strike 2.
So after those 2 early walks, now Rice is strike away from getting a pivotal first out in this start of the game as he tries to keep this a 1-run contest.
If you're Rice, obviously you did not want a run to score, especially the way it did so quickly following the walk. As the 0-2 pitch is on the outside corner for a called strike 3. And Jimenez will go down looking for out number 1. But Nick, as I was saying, if you're Rice, you hate to see a run score the way that it did. But not having to worry about the base runner, Capata, has to help you focus. And I think that's helpful, especially when you're struggling with your command.
And especially after striking out Jimenez on that last at-bat was big for him, getting 3 straight strikes to get the strikeout. And then you saw that at-bat, paying the outside corner to get him to look on that last pitch. So that might be the key for Kehoe to get out, for Rice to get out of this inning. For his catcher, Michael Kehoe, he'll try to make sure he throws a little bit more on the outside corner to make sure he can get those strikeouts.
At the plate here, Mark Cisco. Cisco hit a game-tying home run in Game 2 yesterday, as Rice will check on the runner at first once again. Cisco on the season comes in hitting at .314. Has appeared in half of the Knights' games thus far. He chases that pitch in the dirt for strike 2.
Rice now 1 strike away from back-to-back punch-outs after starting the game with 2 straight walks.
No balls and 2 strikes the count on the Knights' second baseman. Long look in from Rice ahead of the 0-2. And the breaking ball misses high.
Kehoe trying to get the placement of that one, trying to get it from a little bit high to getting it a little bit down the middle. Almost got the nice frame job there, but just not enough. Now count 1-2.
Rice didn't miss by much. Here comes the 1-2. And that breaking ball is fouled back.
Barely got a piece on that one.
We've seen a lot of that breaking ball from Rice early in this game, and I think that really set up Jimenez for that called third strike on the outside corner with the fastball. Perhaps he expected that pitch to break off the plate. It didn't. We'll see if Rice goes back to it here on 1-2. Kehoe is set up away. That pitch ran inside. It's chopped down the line. Foul ball.
Big break for CSI right there. That could have easily brought home that runner from first base and give the Knights an early 2-0 lead.
That was awfully close, Nick. Awfully close. That's a big fair foul call that keeps this at-bat going. The count remains 1-2. Rice once again looks over toward first. Another 1-2. We'll have to wait as it's a pickoff attempt. When you see a lot of pickoff attempts and a team that loves to run, you see why MLB instituted the pace of play rules. I still don't like them, but you see why. As that's a good block by Kehoe, and Jacobson will have to hold it first.
You see Jacobson at first base kind of leaning towards going to second, but a nice start by Kehoe to block that one behind the plate. Keep it in front of him now as the count evens to 2-2.
Count even at 2 balls and 2 strikes on Cisco. And the breaking ball misses once again.
Didn't miss by much.
Count is now full. Curious to see if Jacobson will run here.
I would not be surprised if he did run on this pitch.
We'll see. Comes the payoff pitch. He is not running. And that is grounded to third, knocked down by the glove of Weigel and into left center field. That will afford Jacobson an extra base. He goes first to third. And it's a 1-out single for Mark Cisco as the Knights have runners on the corners with 1 away.
Dolphins obviously were looking for a double play ball on that last play, but as you mentioned, it goes off the glove of Weigel, and then because of that happening, it redirected the ball into the outfield and allowed Jacobson to go from first to third. So Dolphins still are in double play territory with this next at bat coming up, but the Knights now have a great opportunity to take a 2-0 lead.
Runners on the corners, 1 out. Once again, Weigel in at third. Middle infielders are back. They are holding the runner on at first. As that's lined into right field for another Knights base hit. That will bring home a run. Cisco is headed from first to third, and it's an RBI single for Joey Patain as Queens goes in front 2-0.
First pitch swinging right there from Patain to get that one into right field and get an RBI. Now the Knights with a great start to this game, Joe. They get now their second hit of the inning. Obviously took advantage of the 2 walks to start the inning as well, and they have an early 2-0 lead.
That will bring up Francis Segura. Segura comes to the plate with runners on the corners, still just 1 out. A .274 hitter on the year for Queens. Same defensive alignment for the Dolphins. Weigel playing in on the grass at third. Vigliotti holding the runner on at first. Patain, the runner at first, 0 for 2 on stolen base attempts. Though you can't rule out a try here to try and induce a throw. And Rice will continue to pay close attention to the base runner.
And obviously we'll need good, clean throws to first base because anything wild will allow that runner for third base to score.
And that's chopped over Weigel and into left field for a base hit. And the drawn-in corner burns the Dolphins there, as that's going to be a chopper that goes for a double. An RBI double for Francis Segura, and Queens now leads by 3.
And this one might be a situation where the Dolphins might have to talk to Rice a little bit early on in this game. A 3-0 lead now for Queens here early in this one. As we saw yesterday, the Dolphins gave up 6 runs in game number 2 to start off after they were up 2-0 going into the bottom half of the inning. But now a 3-0 lead. Not the start CSI needs, and they really need to try to limit this damage.
2 in scoring position, just 1 out. And this is not unfamiliar territory for the Dolphins. They were in a very similar spot yesterday. However, they had already scored 2 runs before the Knights scored 6 in the bottom half of inning number 1. That was in game 2 against Gerard Santos. 3 hits in the inning, 3 runs home for Queens. And the 1-0 pitch to Bobby Gitto misses for ball 2. Obviously, Rice has had some control issues thus far. 2 walks, but loading the bases in terms of setting up the force all around, I think is valuable in this spot. You wouldn't do it intentionally under any circumstances. You can't load the bases and put yourself in a position where a walk brings home a run. But if the base runner were to end up on first, not the worst thing, because that's in for a strike.
It's almost sort of like an unintentional walk that would load the bases, but then give your team a double play opportunity if something's hit into the infield.
I think down 3 in the first of a 9-inning game. No reason to panic, but having that option of a force at the plate certainly makes things a bit easier on you defensively. As the walk is indeed issued, that's the 3rd walk of the inning for Rice.
And I think that last at bat's kind of frustrating for Rice also because a couple of those pitches were on the outside corner, and he looked like that he was in a good spot to get some strikes. Didn't get the calls that he wanted, and now leads to a conference at the mound for CSI. Obviously, as I mentioned, double play ball is an effect for the Dolphins, but they could really use it, Joe, if they want to get out of this inning.
No question about it, as Vinny Fiore will visit with Christian Rice on the bump. At the plate will be Michael Velarde.
And we've already talked about how not using your bullpen for a lot of innings in these 2 games here today is going to be crucial for these 2 teams, but with an early deficit for the Dolphins now 3-0, there's going to be a point in time where the Dolphins might have to consider trying to bring in a relief pitcher to try to keep this game within reach.
Well, there is some stretching going down.
It looks like that was Ryan Fiore that's stretching right now.
Yeah, there was some stretching down in the CSI bullpen. So we'll see. Right now, Fiore working with resistance bands up against the fence. No throwing yet. And you have to think that the Dolphins will give Christian Rice every opportunity to work through this inning. And we've seen it throughout the year. Dolphin pitching typically gets better as the game goes on. We've seen pitchers get tagged with some crooked numbers early, only to bounce back and give the Dolphins 4, maybe 5 innings. So Dolphins certainly hope Rice can do that. Velarde, the batter, hitting .350 in a small sample size, and he takes a strike.
And you see the defensive alignment for the Dolphins. They have their middle infielders back in double play depth. Corner infielders are in. Obviously, a ground ball hit to the corner infielders would go home on any type of ground ball.
With the force all around, not sure if Weigel needs to be in, unless they fear a bunt. Now, bunts are tough.
Yeah, that's a very tough position because
Very tough.
you're going to give the opportunity for at least a third baseman or the pitcher to throw it immediately to home plate on a type of slow dribbler up the line.
That one's foul tipped, straight down into the dirt. But my point with Weigel is they just had one chopped over his head. I'm not sure if he gets to it at regular depth. I think there would have been a chance.
He might have had an opportunity, but it was a tough bounce.
Yeah. With 2 strikes, do you think he moves back, or will he stay in the same spot?
I think he's going to stay in the same spot.
One and 2 upcoming. Long look in again from Rice. And the breaking ball misses up and away.
Curious to see if Rice maybe will go a little bit off speed on this next pitch. And try to get Velarde to swing and miss for strike 3 and get that second out.
Big pitch here on 2 and 2. And that's fouled back. Was that close?
No.
Good. Our camera, of course, positioned in the line of fire outside, but hasn't been hit yet.
We don't want to put that into the...
Though, to be safe, we're going to move my laptop away from the window today.
You do have it open today.
I'll slide to the left. Don't need to be getting hit again. As that misses low for ball 3. So I said it was a big pitch on 2 and 2, and the reason for that was because a miss runs the count full with nowhere to put the batter. And that's the situation Rice finds himself in now. 3 balls and 2 strikes, bases loaded, 1 out. The payoff pitch on its way. And that's lined to right field. Falling fast, and the catch is made sliding in right field by Palermo. A strong throw will also force the runner to hold at third. And that's a big second out for Christian Rice and the Dolphins.
Well, think about that play in right field also. The runner at third had to immediately go back to second because he wasn't sure if that was going to be, drop in for a base hit or be caught by Palermo. And Palermo did a good job of sliding down to make that catch. And because of the hesitation at third base, it allowed him to get a good throw into first to keep this game alive. And now 2 outs in the inning, and Rice is 1 out away from keeping it a 3-run game.
Big spot here for Rice and the Dolphins as that skied foul and out of play into the seats. Nick Berrios at the plate.
Barrios can get on the nice will battle around here in the first inning as well.
Barrios, a .254 hitter in limited action. Big difference between a 5 or 6 run inning and a 3-run inning. Dolphins hope to keep the deficit at 3. Comes the 0-1. That misses outside. Pitch count for Rice at 38 thus far. Pitch count's always unofficial, but we have him at 38. That's popped up on the infield. Weber under it. And he makes the catch to retire the side. So a nice job by Christian Rice to limit the damage in the first inning. He walks 3 and allows 3 hits, but allows just 3 runs as we head to the home first, with Queens leading Staten Island 3-0. G Aesthetics Med Spa and Wellness Center. Our approach to beauty and wellness begins with a holistic plan tailored to the unique needs of our patients. When we consult with patients, we let them tell us what their problem is. We don't tell them what the issue is. We find out what they're looking for, and we discuss, and then we give them options. If you're looking to achieve radiant skin, you've come to the right place. We offer hydrofacials, microneedling, Opus Plasma, peels, facial and laser treatments, laser hair removal, body sculpting, fat freezing, hormone replacement therapy, Botox, IV drip therapy, and more. We are open Monday through Saturday and are located at 720 Forest Avenue, Staten Island, New York, 10310. We hope to see you soon. Visit our website at www.chiaesthetics.com for more information. And we're back from the CSI Baseball Complex, where the Dolphins trail 3-0 before their first turn at bat. And as we mentioned during the pregame, Nick, CSI will face one of Queens' toughest pitchers in Jordan Sanabria, and he's been staked to a 3-run advantage as the Dolphins come to bat here in the home first inning. Before they do, we'll give you CSI's starting lineup. Leading off will be Michael Palermo, followed by Brian Burkhead, A.J. Vigliotti, Chris Polamini, Vincent Weigel, Owen Weber, Anthony Agostinelli, Nico Rodriguez, almost said Nicholas, but goes by Nico, Michael Kehoe, and of course on the mound, Christian Rice. He will not bat. Rice gave up 3 in the first inning. The Dolphins will to get him some run support as Palermo takes a called strike 1.
I think for Rice, getting out of that inning and only giving up the 3 runs was crucial to keeping the Dolphins early on in this game within reach, but now we'll see what their bats can do. As we saw yesterday, had some good run support in the games against Queens. Now looking for that same result here today.
1-1 pitch on its way. That's chopped to the right side. Might be a tough play. Palermo busting down the line, and he is just beaten to the bag by Sanabria for out number 1.
He's tough, slow dribbler down that first base line, and good job by Sanabria from the mound getting to first base to cover the bag just in time. A quick first out of this inning.
That will bring up Brian Burkhead.
Joe, the next number is B5.
No, we were promised bingo cards. We didn't get any.
We didn't get any. I was very much looking forward to a card.
Now, I'd compare Sal to Vanna White out there, but there's no electronic board for him to reveal the indication of what the scoring is for baseball bingo taking place today.
did say he's doing a different method this year with the bingo. So I was curious to see what it was, but no card. Can't tell you.
You'll have to go grab us some hot dogs between innings as that's dunked into shallow left center field. And Burkhead is headed for second as the ball was fumbled. And that is good heads-up base running by Brian Burkhead as he will advance to second on a fielding error in center field. But it's a one-out single for the Dolphins left fielder. And CSI has a runner in scoring position.
It just looked like it took like a weird bounce in center field as well, as originally looked like it was going to be an easy play to pick up the ball and go to the cutoff man to keep the runner at first. But because of the ball taking that weird bounce going behind the center fielder, now gives the Dolphins an early runner in scoring position.
Runner on second is Burkhead. A.J. Vigliotti, the batter, and he takes inside for ball one. As we mentioned during the pregame, Vigliotti had a 5 RBI game in Game 1 yesterday. Had 1-0. He looks at ball 2.
And the man behind him, Chris Palomini, also had a monster game number 2, as you mentioned, that pivotal grand slam that gave the Dolphins at that point in time the lead.
He drove in 5 runs in that game. Vigliotti in the driver's seat here, ahead 2-0. And that's hit well, deep to left field. Forget it. That ball is long gone. A no doubt 2-run homer onto the track beyond the left field wall for A.J. Vigliotti has cut the Queens lead to 1. It's now 3-2.
Immediately off the bat, Joe, you had to know that one was going out of the stadium or out of the complex. 2-0 count. I was curious to see if maybe he would swing given the green light. He certainly got that green light with that 2-0 pitch. Got a pitch right down the middle from Sanabria. Hits a 2-run homer, and just like that, it's now a 1-run game.
And Vigliotti has now homered for the second straight game, or I should say the second straight day. Close, but not quite. Chris Palomini, if he were to homer, would have homered in 2 straight games.
Two homers in 3 games.
He'll take it.
Yeah.
That's his 4th of the year, as Palomini fouls that one off.
Hopefully not by my car.
I had to park closer than I would have liked.
Yeah,
you can see my car from the window. I'm
Okay.
directly next to the blue tower in row 2.
I parked there before, so
I think you're good in row 2 over there.
yeah.
Though Chris making me question myself as he fouls off another.
I left early too, and I'm thinking, oh, I'd be fine. I was not fine. It was very, very packed up at the
Yeah.
3rd row.
We have an open house today.
Oh, yeah, that will do it.
Yep. We have a soccer match going on the new turf field. I think Vigliotti making the presence of the baseball game felt as that home run landed on the track. Definitely a chance that would have bounced onto the field.
Right. And plus, we have softball going down at the softball complex for NYU.
Called some games for NYU a couple of seasons back. Comes the 0-2. That's tapped back to the left of the mound, or at least the left of Sanabria, who throws it away. And that's going to be a big error for Sanabria and the Knights. Their 2nd of the inning, and the tying run is now in scoring position.
That's one where if you're the Knights, you want to have that one back. It looked like that was going to be an easy routine play to first base, but not a great throw from Sanabria. Now gives, as you mentioned, Joe, the tying run being put into scoring position for CSI.
That will bring up Vincent Weigel.
It still has that way?
Yeah,
As Palomini goes to third base on the stolen base.
we can fix that.
For those wondering, the announcement that was made that Weigel was number 11, obviously he's number
We knew
9.
it was going to happen. We should have checked it before the game. So it must have been that we used the other laptop previously
It was.
and did not drop the updated file. We have an updated
Because
file.
you guys, I don't mean to say it like that, but when we had softball and baseball here the same day, that laptop was used for softball, and we had the other laptop for here.
We have the correct file on the computer. It's
Right.
just not where it's supposed to be in the program. Weigel now ahead 3-1. So in between innings, I'll get the correct file. We have it.
As I mentioned earlier in the pregame, Weigel has been red hot for the Dolphins these last couple of weeks, and with the driver's seat now at 3-1.
And Weigel takes a strike.
This is a spot, obviously, where still 1 out in the inning, but the Dolphins would love to get that runner from third base home and tie this game.
Payoff pitch coming. And that is a fair ball. But forced to hold to third was Polomini.
Couldn't tell immediately off the bat if that was going to be a foul ball or not. So I didn't know if it hit the batter, Weigel, there. So pivotal second out for Queens right there. And they're now 1 out away from keeping themselves up 1 run going in the second inning.
So in the midst of discussing the public address file error, we missed the stolen base, but Chris Polomini stole third. You probably mentioned it, Nick.
I did.
Yeah, I was still busy trying to locate the correct file.
Yeah.
But Polomini was actually credited with a stolen base a couple of games back, as that is crushed foul by Owen Weber. Dolphins are getting some good swings early in this game against Sanabria.
There's a good breeze as well today. The wind has been picking up so far early on. But Weber swings and misses on that one, and he's now down in the count 1-2.
One ball and 2 strikes the count on Owen Weber. The tying run stands at third, and that's fouled off.
Just got a piece of that one. Kind of a new lineup. We've also seen it from the Dolphins here today in these two, or at least in this game, is game number 1. So Weber play as well yesterday, the doubleheader.
And that's hit to straightaway left. And on the move, making the catch is Velarde to retire the side. So the Dolphins strand the tying run at third base, but they get 2 back on a long 2-run homer by A.J. Vigliotti. His 4th of the season made it 3-2 Queens. And we head to the second with that score.
Back for the top of the second inning here at the CSI Baseball Complex. Phil Carpata leads off for Queens. Showed bunt on his first attempt. It's in there for a strike, 0-1. 3-2 lead now for Queens here after the A.J. Vigliotti 2-run homer. Count now 1-1. Carpata his first time up. Carpata his first time up worked the walk. Then able to steal second, reach third on an error. Then would score on a wild pitch. A pass ball, as the count now is 2-1. Christian Rice able to work himself out of a jam as well. So he's now quickly behind the count 3-1. So a 3-1 count now for Kerpada here. And that one just misses inside for ball 4. So for the second straight inning, Kerpada works a leadoff walk. And once again, Joe, he's going to be on base now with the opportunity to get another stolen base tally to his mark on the season.
Well, if you're Rice coming out of that first inning, obviously Kerpada came around to score almost immediately. And I think with him leading off the inning especially, your mindset had to be, I am making him earn his way on base. And once again, it's a 5-pitch walk. And that is not the start Rice was looking for in this inning. Kerpada, obviously a capable hitter, but you need to make him beat you in that spot. At the plate now, Robert Jacobson. Is that pitch? We'll have to wait.
I think having that dangerous runner at first base takes your mind off the at-bat that you're currently going at, which makes this at-bat even more dangerous than the previous one was, because you're worried about that runner at first base trying to get another stolen base on this current at-bat going on.
Well, I said it before, Nick. As the runner is going, and that low pitch gives Kehoe no chance to throw. It's another stolen base for Kerpada. But I said it before. To have Kerpada score as quickly as he did, I think almost benefited Christian Rice, at least early in that first inning, because you don't have to worry about him with the most dangerous hitters in the lineup coming to the plate. He got Jimenez looking on strikes as Jacobson takes ball 2. And obviously after that, the Knights were able to string together some base runners and score 3 times. But either way, your attention is certainly diverted from the task at hand at the plate when you have a runner like Kerpada on the base paths. Comes the 2-1. That's on the outside corner for a called strike 2.
And we've been saying early on, Rice has been working that outside corner for both lefty and righty batters in this game. And he's trying to work it so that way he can get some called strikes. Hasn't gotten the benefit of the doubt so far for most of the at-bats. But right there gets that strike call. Now it's 2-2.
That's it to the right side. Tough hop for Weber. He handles it perfectly. And he throws out Jacobson for out number 1.
Could have been near disaster right there for the Dolphins if Weber did not play that beautifully off the hop. He did a great job right there to play it off of that bounce as Kerpada now goes into third base on the ground ball. 1 out in the inning.
Productive out for Jacobson as he advances the runner to third on the ground ball. Dolphins here will play the infield at normal depth. And you have to wonder if the Dolphins have their defense set according to their scouting on each hitter. Because you'd presume Jimenez a threat to hit the ball very hard. Less likely to get a dribbler, perhaps, as he's hit by the pitch. That elbow guard coming in handy right there. And the Knights will have runners on the corners now with 1 out.
Obviously, you don't want to hit the batter, but now if you're Rice and company, now you're back into double play territory. They can get you out of the inning. But even in that last at-bat, obviously, it's still early in this game where the Dolphins could surrender the run and still be within 2 runs. So not the worst-case scenario if there was to be a ground ball out or a sacrifice fly. But now the Dolphins are in the spot where a ground ball here can get them a double play, get them out of the inning, and keep it a 1-run game.
Well, now the Dolphins will bring Weigel in the corner.
But then again, Jimenez, we also mentioned his stolen base numbers on the season, so he's a candidate to steal.
That pitch is taken inside. Cisco 1 for 1 at the plate. Was one of 3 Knights with base hits in the first inning. Those 3 hits came consecutively. Cisco, Patain, Segura. There goes Jimenez. And again, a pitch well out of the strike zone gives Kehoe no chance to throw.
And even if he was to throw, it would be cut off anyway by Rodriguez at short. But good job by Kehoe to keep it within reach and not go to the backstop, as that would have allowed the runner to score from third.
Well, I said it right before we took our break ahead of first pitch. But if yesterday was any indication, we had 2 good games on deck. And it looks like yesterday was no fluke. 2 high-scoring games, right now we appear headed that way again.
And considering this factor also with Jimenez on second, Carpata's at third, best two base runners for the Knights here. Cisco's up 3-0, can load the bases.
And he takes a knee-high strike. Something else to keep in mind that we've mentioned already. Preserving your pitching. 2 9-inning games. And that has to weigh heavily in the decision-making for both managers.
It looks like Ryan Fiore now is officially warming up. I think that's Fiore. Or maybe is that Dennis Kelly?
That pitch was taken for a strike. Cisco didn't think so. But he will see at least one more. Nick, you're right. That is Dennis Kelly throwing.
It's a crucial pitch now up here.
3-2 coming. And that's not even close. It skips to the backstop. A run will score. And Kehoe tracks it down. But not before the fourth Knights run comes home. A walk puts Cisco on first. Jimenez moves up to third. And it's now 4-2 Queens.
That's one you want to have back. And that's why I mentioned it's a crucial pitch, because the difference between a walk and a strikeout is certainly going to be big early on in this game. But not only does the walk happen, but because of the wild pitch, it allows that runner, Carpata, to score from third and give Queens now a 4-2 lead.
Patain 1 for 1. Base hit and an RBI in his first at bat. Rice has now issued 5 walks and allowed just the 3 hits. But the walks have been killer. Huge lead at first for Cisco, specifically the secondary lead.
Yeah, don't be surprised if he steals this at bat and the Dolphins try to do what they did the previous at bat. Try to cut it off with Rodriguez at short.
Comes the 0-1. That's called strike.
And paying that outside corner. That's how we got Jimenez earlier in the first inning. Strikeout now has a quick 0-2 count here.
And Rice is a completely different pitcher when ahead in the count. Makes that breaking ball much more effective. As that's fouled back.
That was a little bit closer.
Off the press box. Let's keep it to our right.
Yeah.
But that breaking ball, when you're ahead in the count, becomes so much more effective. And when you get the hitter looking for that pitch, you can get a called third strike like he did against Jimenez on the fastball. But when you're behind in the count, it really takes that pitch out of the equation. So that's hit well out to left center field. Ranging back into the gap to make the catch is Burkhead. But that will bring home a run. It's a sacrifice fly for Joey Patain. And he has his second run batted in as Queens goes back in front by 3. It's 5-2.
And Patain was waiting for that off-speed pitch that you just mentioned, threw an off-speed on that 0-2 count, and was able to just get it into the outfield and give his team now back the 2 runs that they surrendered in the bottom of the first inning. They're now back up 3 runs.
I think that pitch was in on the hands just enough, Nick.
We got some goodie bags, it looks like.
Popcorn. Runner going. Swing and a miss. And
very wild throw from Kehoe going to allow the runner.
I thought Kehoe hit the batter.
I was going to say, did we get interference?
And this run is going to count. And I thought for sure that the batter was in the way. The question is, was he in the box?
We saw that in yesterday's game.
Yeah.
The first game ended on a interference at the
Really?
plate. Yeah. And a double play on a strike him out, throw him out, technically.
There's some things that you miss when you're following the game via live stats. That's one of them. I had softball on the TV, video, and then baseball, I had the live stats on my computer as that pitch is taken up and away. So
we're having conversations about food. It's the 1-1 chop down the third baseline foul. It's now 1-2 as we got a last look at that last wild pitch.
Sal always taking care of us up here in the booth. He needs to keep us well fed. Team staff needs us.
Where's our bingo card?
We have a job to do, Nick. We
That's
can't
true.
be playing bingo. Though I will take my bag of popcorn. All right. 1-2 the count. And that misses low. So I was very hesitant to call that a throwing error on Kehoe initially because I thought for sure
that
they were going to call interference. Now, if the batter was in the box and not doing anything to actively obstruct Kehoe's ability to throw, that's a fine play as Rodriguez makes a nice grab. And that will do it for the Knights here in the second. But for the second consecutive inning, Queens scores 3 times. They lead Staten Island 6-2.
The Kettle Black on Staten Island, a top 5 wing joint in America by Food and Wine Magazine. Serving daily lunch and dinner at the bar or on the floor. Perfect for family and group parties with top shelf drink and delicious food. From great times with good friends. Live sports and watch parties. To Staten Island's hottest nightlife. The Kettle Black features live music and DJs weekly. The Kettle Black features daily and nightly food and drink specials. The best Staten Island has to offer is at the Kettle Black. We'll see you there at the Kettle Black, located on 415 Forest Avenue, Staten Island.
And we're back here on CSI Sportsnet, where we are going to get another look at that last stolen base attempt and what transpired right in front of home plate.
And as I mentioned, Game 1 of the doubleheader yesterday between these two teams ended on a double play with catcher's interference. That one, not the same scenario, as because the Dolphins hesitated with that interference, or what they thought was to be interference, as Gastanelli is hit by the pitch. He'll reach first base. But the Dolphins thought there was interference on that last or a couple bats ago, and that's what led the run to score. And they hesitated and did not do anything with the ball in the outfield. So that's great heads-up base running from the Knights right there to get that 6th run of the game. And now they have a 4-run lead here at the bottom of the second.
All right, so do you have the other view?
Yeah.
All right, let's get a look at that view because I can't see on the wide shot very well from where I'm seated. Nico Rodriguez, the batter here, shows bunt. And we'll see if the Dolphins follow through with that or if perhaps he was looking to take a pitch.
After this next pitch, I'll show you the replay.
Kehoe immediately petitioned to the home plate umpire for the call as Rodriguez takes up and away for ball 2. Here's a look. That's certainly not interference.
Nope.
Batter did nothing wrong there. He's swinging.
The difference of the one and that one and the one yesterday is it was a hit and run on a 3-2 and 1 out in the inning in that 9th inning, and the batter struck out looking, went to go back to the dugout, but because he was in the motion of going back to the dugout, he interfered with the throw to second base. As they'll now have a mound visit here. 3-0 count for Rodriguez, and he's obviously shown bunt in all 3 pitches that he's seen so far. And, you know, you have Michael Kehoe on deck in the back to the top of the order, so this is a dangerous spot for Sanabria early on here in the second inning.
Well, Rodriguez is up there looking to give himself up. Now, that's easier said than done. He can run, so a bunt certainly does not guarantee Queens an out. That being said, you have to throw him a strike if he's showing bunt. You can't afford to issue a walk, as we could tell looking at the sky that rain is on the way, and there is certainly rain on the way. So within the next probably half hour,
This is about 20 minutes.
Yeah, within the next half hour, we are set to get some rain here on Staten Island. Fortunately for us, that does not affect our broadcast. Our equipment is all covered. No part of the operation is outside. Can't say the same for them over at Softball.
Yep. Doesn't look like it's going to go too long, though.
No,
That's a good thing.
Rodriguez takes a strike on 3-0. Showing bunt once again. Perhaps was taking all the way. Do you keep the bunt on 3-1?
I was going to ask, do you try it again on 3-1? I think they might as well.
I wouldn't. But they do bunt down the first base line. It's a good bunt, and Rodriguez is out. And the only reason I say that is because Sanabria had been very wild prior to that. But then again, if you take a strike, you lose the chance to bunt. Right. So no issue with the sacrifice, but just curious to see if they try it on 3-1. Either way, Michael Kehoe is the batter. Kehoe was the Dolphins' leadoff hitter for much of the season. Today, he bats ninth, and oftentimes you see teams do that. The Dolphins have done that to their benefit. For as long as I've covered them, they've often put one of their better hitters in the number 9 spot, a high on-base guy, a guy with some speed who can turn a weak chopper into a hit. And when you bookend the lineup with two guys like that, it benefits you in a big way, especially those hitters in the 2, 3, and 4 spots. The 1-0 pitch coming. And that's hit well to left. Did he get enough of it? That's headed toward the wall, and it's out of here. Michael Kehoe with a 2-run homer. The second 2-run shot of the game for the Dolphins has made it a 2-run game. It's now 6-4.
Doesn't matter where he's batting in the lineup, Joe. Kehoe with a very productive at-bat right there. 2-run homer makes it now a 2-run game once again, and already 10 runs combined between the two teams, and it's still only the bottom of the second inning. We're in for another shootout between these two, and it's now Sanabria has to go back to the top of the lineup with Michael Palermo coming up next for the CSI.
Well, Nick, who has to beat out an infield dribbler when you have power like that? Yeah. Big swing by Kehoe has made it a 2-run game as Michael Palermo swings and misses for strike 1.
And to your point about the lineup adjustments for the Dolphins, Michael Palermo for a good portion of the year was hitting 8 to 9 in the Dolphin lineup, and today now leads off for CSI. So obviously the changing of the lineup does factor into this game as well. And you saw with Kehoe, as we mentioned, was leading off for a while. Bats ninth, gets a home run, and now makes it a 2-run game.
I'll have to double check, but I believe that's Michael's first home run of the year. And indeed it is.
As Palermo swings and misses on the outside for strike 3. He's quickly retired for the second out.
2 away now in the home second.
Brings up Brian Burkhead now for CSI. If he can get on, the Dolphins will bring a tying run to the plate. A.J. Vigliotti, who also went yard his last time up.
And Burkhead slices one over to third.
And he did not immediately go out of the box.
Well, that one nearly handcuffed the third baseman Jacobson as well. He stays with it and throws out Burkhead to retire the side. But not before the Dolphins pull back to within 2. It's a 2-run homer by Michael Kehoe to make it a 6-4 game as we head to the third.
Hobra, a taco joint, Staten Island, where we're proud to have shared our family-first spirit with people from throughout New York City and the world. With indoor dining available both at the bar and on the floor. Or step outside for additional seating and an outdoor bar. Serving beer that's crisp, ice cold, and worthy of a day at the beach. Cocktails that explode with flavor. And great food made with the freshest and healthiest ingredients available. Events feature food and drink specials, live music, and the best of Staten Island nightlife. Your CSI Student ID saves you 10% on your dining order at Hobra. Visit us at 412 Forest Avenue, Staten Island.
And we are back for the road third inning. Christian Rice back to the mound for the Dolphins. And Nick, Dolphins really need a 0 from him in this spot, not only to keep this a 2-run game, but to keep his pitch count down and perhaps give him a chance to get through 5.
I was going to ask what his pitch count is. I'm going to assume that one's headed to left field. Burkhead sets under and makes the play for the first out. I would assume he's got to be around 75 pitches here.
A little less.
A little less.
69.
Okay.
That will bring up Michael Velarde. And he went around. That's strike 1.
I always try to get in the right ballpark when it comes to trying to guessing the pitch count. So
sometimes we have it, sometimes we don't.
Yeah.
And we often turn it off if there's a situation where we have to go back and rescore something that causes us to miss some live action. Once we miss more than 1 or 2 at-bats of live action charting the pitch by pitch, turn it off.
Yeah.
Because then it just becomes confusing. And nobody likes to be confused on the broadcast.
No.
As that's chopped weakly to third. Weigel charges in. Throw to first. A bit offline, but Vigliotti applies the tag. And there are 2 gone.
Good heads-up play by Vigliotti to step off the bag and make the tag as he does. A little bit of a rhyming right there. Right there. I wasn't trying to do that, but it does work in that scenario as the Dolphins get 2 quick outs here in the third.
2 away in the inning. And not only does Christian Rice have the first 2 outs, he has recorded them very quickly.
As he lost his hat in the process of that last pitch.
He lost his hat, and he lost the balls. It sailed all the way to the backstop.
Not the first time we've seen a Dolphin lose their hat in the process of a play.
No.
And it won't be the last.
I'm not sporting the long hair anymore, so my hats are safe. As that's lined into shallow right center for a base hit. Palermo cuts it off, and it's a 2-out single for Nick Berrios.
So that brings us now back to the top of the lineup. So the third straight inning, Queens will have the top of the order coming back up. They led off, obviously, in the last half inning and got some runs. Carpio now will try to keep the inning going for Queens here. He's worked 2 walks to start this game.
Well, the bad news for Rice, Carpata has reached twice. The good news is you're not facing him to lead off the inning. So that base hit might be a blessing in disguise if Rice can get Carpata out. And that misses inside for ball 2. So there's one thing you don't want to do. It's issue a third walk to Carpata. That being said, he would be the trailing runner and unlikely to steal. And that gets by Kehoe. You think that's a pass ball, Nick? I think so.
Hit off his glove.
Yeah.
Was
That
a
didn't
high-
miss by much.
Was a high pitch, but
It wasn't a good pitch,
Yeah.
but that's one that certainly could have been caught. The wind picking up just a bit. Should be noted as well, the wind is blowing out to left field.
Yep.
So a rare benefit to the right-handed batter today, specifically the pull hitters, of course. Comes the 3-0, and that's ball 4.
Carpata now has walked all 3 times he's come up to the plate, still without an official at bat in this game.
That's walk number 6, issued by Christian Rice. And he was cruising through this inning at the start. All of a sudden now, the Knights have 2 on, and it is still just as important here for Rice to put up a 0, even more so after getting the first 2 outs. And that's in for a first pitch strike to Robert Jacobson.
I think if you're Mike Morrow and your team, obviously, if you can get through 5 innings and get the Dolphins at least 5 of this 9-inning game, that would be beneficial for CSI getting through this one.
That's grounded foul. And it's now 1-2. Check that 0-2. Don't know where I got that one from.
Not sure either.
Couldn't tell you. No balls and 2 strikes the count on Jacobson. Berrios on second. Carpata on first. Here comes the 2-strike pitch. And there's a good stop by Kehoe.
I would have blamed the one maybe if it was something on the bingo card, but the bingo already apparently finished pretty quickly.
We have a Game 1 winner. which means they probably only had 2 games worth of cards. So one for game 1, one for game 2. A lot has happened early in this game.
Yep.
Comes the 1 and 2. And that's low. Nice turnout here for a Sunday. Typically, I'd say that the late Friday games do better in terms of turnout.
Weather-wise, it was about mid-60s, early 70s, the weather forecasted for today. So it was to be a nice day. And obviously, we do expect rain in the forecast in just a couple minutes, but won't be here for the entire day, which is the good part.
As long as it does not stop the game.
I think it said light rain, so I don't think it will.
Even better.
I don't think it will do anything to affect this game.
The temperature has certainly dropped since first pitch. Comes the 3 and 2. That's at a mile high. Shallow left field. Burkhead circling in. And he makes the catch to retire the side. So the Knights strand 2 in the 3rd inning. They are held scoreless for the first time in this game. And we head to the home 3rd with Queens leading Staten Island 6-4.
Champions know how to seize opportunities. When they see moments of greatness unfold right before their eyes, they push as hard as they possibly can. And then they push harder. Because the heart of a champion never settles, never quits, and never stops giving its all. We are champions. We are Division II. We go big, we give it everything we've got, and we win. On the field, on our campuses, in our communities, for our causes, in our careers. We rise to become champions in everything we do. We are Division II, and there are no limits here. We make our time count. We set our own path. We become champions on our terms. It's time to up your game, because we're here to play and learn. But most importantly, we're here to discover ourselves. Our vision, our heart, our drive to achieve every goal we aim for, because we want to be champions at the highest level, life. At Division II, the opportunities are here. Are you ready?
A.J. Vigliotti will lead off for the Dolphins here in the home 3rd inning. He already has a home run in this game and will ground out here to start the bottom half of the 3rd.
Quick 1 pitch, 1 out. Vigliotti's Dolphins will have, going into the inning, had 3, 4, and 5. Now it brings up Chris Polamini.
Polamini in this game 0 for 1. Well, Nick, I have not gotten much better since our last broadcast earlier in the week.
Sinuses or the allergies?
It is some sort of cough. But it is getting more and more violent by the day.
The popcorn's not going to help either.
Probably not. As the count evens on Polamini at 1-1. I've been on the cough button more today than I have all season. The allergies, on the other hand, have not gotten me. We had some brutal, brutal games at softball last year where I couldn't even see. One of the games, I had to hop off the call.
Yep. I vividly remember what game it was, too.
Yep. I said, forget this.
Yeah, that was a rough one. That was your Joker mask phase for a couple weeks.
As the 2-2 is lined into left field, and that's down for a base hit. 4th hit of the game for the Dolphins belongs to Chris Polamini, and he's on with a 1-out single.
And now gives the Dolphins the tying run to the plate and Vincent Weigel. So great chance for CSI right here with another 2-run homer. They could tie this game at 6. Now, did that whole announcement play?
It did not.
Okay. Didn't sound like it did. Sounds like they've done it softball too, so that might be a good thing for them.
I'll have to go check after this at bat and see what happened with the file. Because that was tested. It does work.
I did hear the now batting, but I didn't hear the rest of it.
Not sure.
Not sure either. What I am sure is the Knicks need to win today, Joe.
That depends. Depends.
Well, for obvious other reasons, it depends. But
As Weigel swings and misses there.
just want to see them win at least just to get some momentum before the playoffs start.
I've been rooting for a matchup with Orlando for weeks in hopes that I can travel down there and see the Knicks play. The Rangers will not be playing the Lightning in the first round, which is probably a good thing because it will be very tough for me to get down there during the first round.
I think they're right now projected with, is it Pittsburgh they're playing?
Yeah, it's very likely to be
Penguins.
one of three teams.
Yeah.
As Weigel hits one well out to right field. That ball's carrying toward the fence, and that ball's off the base of the wall. Polamini is being waved home. He will score. And into second base, standing with an RBI double, is Vincent Weigel. It's now 6-5.
Remember what happened last week against Sack as well. Weigel had a home run the opposite way for the Dolphins, and that one he had a great opportunity to do so as well. That one kept just carrying out to right center field, going off the wall for a one bounce, gets himself an RBI double, now gives the Dolphins back within a run. Owen Weber comes up with now the tying run on second base, and the Dolphins now trying to tie this game at 6 and try to get a third straight inning of 2 runs.
2 in the first, 2 in the second, now 1 in the third. And the tying run stands at second base as Vincent Weigel has continued his resurgence with that RBI double. Owen Weber comes to the plate here. He's behind 0-1. Weber had a nice day yesterday as that skied out to shallow right down the line. There's nobody there, and that's down for a base hit. Weigel had to hold at second. He will move up 1 base to third. And the Dolphins now have runners on the corners with 1 out. And Anthony Agostinelli coming to the plate.
That was pretty much no man's land right there on that shallow fly ball to right field. Dolphins catch a break as Owen Weber gets himself a single. Now the tying run is at third base, and now the go-ahead run for the Dolphins is on base.
Agostinelli, without an official at-bat in this game. He was hit by a pitch his first time up. Chance here to level the score at 6. As both offenses are picking up right where they left off yesterday. 9-7 in Game 1, 11-10 Game 2.
Do you think you see Weber at some point in this at-bat maybe try a steal, try to get a cutoff throw?
I think it's certainly a possibility. And I think a big part of that is whether or not you think Agostinelli is a double play candidate. Also, you don't want to give away an out against a pitcher who's struggling. So a lot of factors weigh into that decision. Comes the 2-0. And Agostinelli chased out of the zone there.
Got the green light. We saw a couple of at-bats so far in this game where the Dolphins have had a quick at-bat lead to an early count for themselves, and they've been able to get some hits because of that. Agostinelli was looking for another one right there.
And the 2-1 misses way upstairs. So the good news here for Sanabria is that his pitch count is relatively very low. The bad news is he struggled through each of the first 3 innings. He's now allowed 6 hits. Runner going. And Agostinelli takes ball 4.
And now, considering you have Nico Rodriguez coming up with the bases loaded, we know he's certainly capable of obviously getting a big-time hit for the Dolphins in these spots. With one swing into the outfield, if he gets down for a base hit, he gives CSI the lead. Go ahead.
Nico Rodriguez will be the batter as the Knights will have a conference at the mound here. But in spots like this, it is so important to have quality hitters top to bottom in your lineup. And both of these teams with a lot of quality hitters don't have an issue in that regard. You have Nico Rodriguez coming to the plate here, hitting just shy of the 300 mark. Michael Kehoe, who's already homered, right behind him. And then it's back to the top of the order. So the Dolphins are set up pretty nicely here. And with a base hit or two, they might have a chance to break this game open.
And I think the moral of this at bat for Rodriguez is obviously you just want to get the ball at least into the outfield, so at least you could tie the game potentially with a sacrifice fly. But obviously, with one swing, could give CSI a good lead. And then, as you mentioned, the Dolphins can certainly make sure that they can open this game up. The last time we were both on the broadcast for baseball was that game against Lincoln, and that was when the Dolphins were down 8-0, and they came all the way back to win that game. So down 6-2 at one point in this game, now it's 6-5, and they have a chance to take their first lead of the day.
6-2, not unfamiliar territory for these Dolphins. That was the score through one inning yesterday. That was the score through 1.5 here today. Meanwhile, the sky is continuing to darken beyond the left field wall. No rainfall yet as we play on here in the third. And the first pitch to Rodriguez misses way upstairs.
How about the lead at third base that Weigel's been getting these last couple of pitches?
Saw that. That's hit to short, hit slowly. Throw to second for one. No turn. And that will tie the score.
Looked like maybe a little bit of a bobble at second base from Cisco. Not sure they would have gotten the double play regardless, but that would have been a tough turn considering Rodriguez's speed.
I don't think they had him, but I think they had a chance. We can get one more look at it on replay as Michael Kehoe will come to the plate with a chance to give CSI the lead.
Let's say they would have had an opportunity. He would have been safe. Regardless if it wasn't bobbled, Rodriguez was pretty much already at the bag when...
Was he?
Yeah. Missed inside for a ball 1-0. Michael Kehoe, obviously, with a 2-run homer his last time up, made it at that point in time a 6-4 game. We're now tied at 6. He has a chance to give CSI the lead right here.
And Kehoe takes a knee-high strike.
As you mentioned, if he can get on, back to the top of the lineup for CSI.
Big at-bat in this game. Both starting pitchers have had their struggles through the first 3 innings. As the runner was going on the pitch, that's hit a mile high. Foul territory. Looks to be playable. And unable to make the grab was Jacobson. He had a chance. He was there. But the wind playing tricks on 3 different nights who are in pursuit of that ball. And Kehoe has new life.
Wind's played a factor a lot of times here at the baseball complex. I even watched the Yankee game yesterday in Cleveland, and it was playing a huge factor in that game as well. So we know that no matter what level it's at, wind will definitely be a huge issue for some of these teams.
Kehoe gets a second chance. We are tied at 6 in the home third inning. Runner going once again as Kehoe skies one out to right. Long run in right field to get there, and able to track it down was Jimenez. He makes the play just inside the right field line, and that will do it for the Dolphins here in the third. But for the third straight inning, CSI scores twice, and they have evened up the score at 6-3.
As a student athlete in college, I first got involved with the NCAA at the national level It was through the Student Athlete Advisory Committee, SAC, gave me an opportunity to advocate on behalf of all student athletes, to affect change and to make an impact. The NCAA is giving the student athlete a platform to voice their concerns and to be able to advocate for what's going to affect their well-being. The policies that are being put in place are speaking towards academics, they're speaking towards well-being, they're speaking towards fairness, creating a culture so that the student athletes have the best experiences possible.
Back for the top of the fourth inning now, a brand new ball game, 6-6 to score to the Knights and the Dolphins as Christian Rice throws a outside pitch for a ball 1-0 to your six Jimenez. Has got a little bit of tongue tied for a second. I was thinking of a different player, but Jimenez now comes up.
Me. Who are you thinking of as that pitch is outside?
Not sure why I said Sanchez to begin with. I'm not 100% sure. I mixed him with some other player, but I wasn't sure which player it was for a second.
Me either. I'll let it go, though.
Okay.
I'll forgive you.
I caught myself at the start.
You
at
did.
Least.
I helped you, though, when I gave you that
Yeah.
look. As Jimenez lines one into the right field corner, and that's down for an extra base hit. Palermo, strong throw to second. Still not nearly in time. And it's a leadoff double for Jimenez to get things started here in the fourth.
Well, I think what we talked about in that last half inning as well for Christian Rice is obviously the Dolphins want him to go 5 innings and get, at least some, decent outing for him and then go to the bullpen after that. But a leadoff double here now gives the Knights a chance to regain the lead after they surrendered 2 runs in that previous half inning.
Through the first 3, Rice had thrown 86 pitches. That last one was number 87. Dolphins out hitting the Knights 6-5 thus far. Both teams with 2 errors. And now a chance here for Mark Cisco to give Queens the lead again for the base hit. At the plate thus far, he's 1 for 1.
And he's got a good, wide, sizable gap between first and second in right center field as Weber was originally checking. The runner now goes back to his normal alignment. This count goes to 0-2.
Big pitch coming up here for Rice. Obviously, he has some wiggle room, but if you can get Cisco, that definitely changes this inning in a positive way. Especially if you can do it on 3 pitches. Jimenez initially broke for third, and Cisco takes the breaking ball inside.
And we've seen these last couple of innings, the Dolphins have had a pitcher warming up. It's been Dennis Kelly still, so he's still up in the Dolphin bullpen, ready whenever needed. But the Dolphins will hopefully try to get him past the 5th inning where he'll pitch in the 6th.
Dolphins dugout telling the defense to hold the runner on a bit more as that's hit well to left toward the wall, and Burkhead dropped the ball. He was there, tried to play it over the shoulder, couldn't hold on, and there will be no play at the plate as it's a run-scoring error by Burkhead in left field. And the Dolphins now trail 7-6.
That's a tough break for CSI right there, but you have to think also the wind we know has been playing a factor. It looked like originally that wasn't going to be a near home run. That was very close to being a home run, but Burkhead obviously playing that one just off the track of the fence and just could not make the play, and it cost the Dolphins a run there as Queens has now regained the lead 7-6.
Nick, the ball is carrying extremely well out to left field today. Extremely well. I'm not sure I've ever seen a wind like this blowing toward left field in 9 years of covering games here. And the winds aren't gusting, but typically the wind is very strong to right field, not left.
And we saw in that last half inning, Vincent Weigel's hit was hit into right center field, and it didn't look like originally that was going to keep carrying, but somehow, some way, that wind still even carried into right field. He almost had a 2-run homer the opposite way.
And that's it out towards shallow left center. Calling for it was Polamini. He makes the catch. And there's one gone here in the 4th. Well, if the Dolphins can limit the damage in this inning to just 1, they will take it. But very easily, as that was a shallow fly ball, there could be 2 outs with Jimenez still standing at third.
Right.
keep in mind as well, it's an error regardless, but Burkhead attempted to make that play at the fence. His glove was nearly touching the wall.
Not much room for error on that one.
In a situation like that, being near the fence helps you in the situation where you ultimately drop the ball, only because the ball can't get away from you as easily.
Right.
Ball hits off your glove and you accidentally kick it.
And you're also in the spot where you're making the catch and you're also trying to check the runner at second base and trying to see immediately after you catch it, you want to throw it in quickly to that cutoff man to make sure he doesn't go at least from second to home on any potential missed throw.
Well, I would hope that checking in on second wasn't a factor on that play, only because, in all likelihood, almost without a doubt, Jimenez is getting third base.
No matter what.
Yeah. And I doubt that had anything to do with it, but
Time called behind the plate.
so I think what's being protested here is that the Knights have been charged with
Calling a timeout.
another timeout.
Right. I saw this not too long ago recently with it happened in the Mets game.
With the Brewers?
Yeah, Jeff
Yeah.
McNeil was asking the home plate umpire if he had a timeout, and they charged him with the timeout when he was only trying to ask if he had it or not. So they were visibly frustrated because of that happening. I'm wondering maybe that was the same case in that spot right here.
I'm not a big fan of a lot of the pace of play rules. That being said, I think rules around calling for time certainly should be in place. Those I can get behind. You can't have repeated calls for time,
Right.
repeated conferences. You can't have a bunch of that.
Even even a pickoff attempt, like they only limit it to a certain amount of number.
That I don't like. I don't like that. And stolen bases have unsurprisingly exploded since, as that's hit softly to first.
That's a fair
Vigliotti
ball.
there waiting, fair ball, and there are two away in the inning.
Did not look like that was going to stay fair the entire time going down that first base line, but it did. So a big break for CSI now. They're 1 out away from keeping it a one-run game.
Well, they've put a count up on the board. Not sure what's going on there, but
The batter's out regardless.
the batter's out. Batter's out.
Yeah.
I'll make sure that's tended to.
So while Joe attends to that, it now brings up Jacobson, and he doesn't have to attend to it because it's now been fixed.
All right. So the batter is Bobby Gitto as that's popped up. Shallow left and down for a hit.
Nice job by Gitto right there. Found the weak spot in the outfield. Down the left field line, gets a blooper. It gives his team now an 8-6 lead.
Well, that's some tough luck for Christian Rice and the Dolphins. That run obviously will be unearned, as will any run scored from this point forward. And that might do it for Christian Rice, and it will. So the Dolphins are going to make a pitching change with 2 outs here in the 4th. We will step aside and introduce the new Dolphins pitcher when we come back.
I was the kid who would do surgery on my teddy bear and have my sister be my patient, and I would wear the stethoscope and the lab coat. I was that kid. Wayne State Medical School has been my dream medical school since I was 5. Dr. News, who is the head of the biology department, definitely has had a huge impact over the past 2 years I've been in the lab. He took a chance on me and actually gives me the power to actually do things. Athletics are important, but so is service, so is research, so is becoming a better person. And we expect you to do well athletically, but don't forget the reason you're here, which is to give back to your community and to get good grades. I've had so many experiences with underprivileged people and just seeing that they want the basic things that people get out of life. And if I can help in any way, that just kind of warms my heart. That's why I want to be a doctor, to serve those who have been dealt a bad hand. It was my sophomore indoor season. It was the first year with our new head coach. And he comes in and he's like, we could be a national contending team if you guys work hard. And I heard him and I was like, well, I want to be a national champion. I want to be an All-American. And I bought in because he bought into our team. And I qualified to go to indoor nationals. It was just because I bought into myself, because someone bought into me. I decided I wanted it, so I went and grabbed it.
As Kelly now the new pitcher for the Dolphins here with a runner on first. Still 2 outs in the inning, and it's now an 8-6 lead for Queens. It's Michael Velarde now the batter. Tough break for Christian Rice as well, getting out of this inning. As an error in the field from Burkhead in left field. A blooper as well in the left field in that previous at-bat from Gitto brings home the 8th run for the Knights, and now they get back the 2 runs they surrendered in the previous half inning, Joe, and now take once again a 2-run lead, 8-6 is the score. As seemed like a colonel got to him. The coughing continues for Joe Foreman. Could be a colonel, could be just his coughing. It's been going on the last couple of weeks.
It's been a rough one, Nick.
It's been a tough one.
Man, it's been a tough week. Just to get ready for this broadcast, we had to do some H2O therapy. Clearly, I need some more during the break.
Well, it's going to rain in a couple of minutes. You could get some H2O from outside.
Yeah, not what I had in mind.
Yeah. It's getting very dark now compared to what it was a couple of minutes ago.
Yeah, I do have the numbers on Dennis Kelly. We'll get those to you following the sit-back, as I still continue to struggle here.
Count out 3 and 2. So this next pitch, the runner will go from on, as I mentioned, Velarde is the batter. So you might have to wait, potentially, as Kelly can get out with a strikeout here with 2 outs.
Runner going, and that misses up and away as Velarde draws the walk. So the numbers this year on Dennis Kelly. He comes in with an ERA of 7.20 and a whip of 1.90. He has a record of 1-0 across 6 appearances, all in relief. In 10 innings, he's allowed 8 hits, 9 runs, 8 of those earned. He's walked 11 and struck out 8. Opposing batters hitting just .242 against him.
Now facing the number 9 hitter, Nick Barrios, with 2 outs in the inning. And the Knights are now 1 batter away from the 4th straight inning, getting back to the top of their lineup.
1-0 the count here. That pitch misses for ball 2. Our live stats have stopped pushing, so I'll have to go check in on that. Need those.
Sounds like they're also starting up their second game at softball, so
good luck.
Yeah, with the potential rain coming in very soon, they're going to have to be very aware and take cover. Make sure their electronics don't get washed up.
Nick Barrios at the plate here, ahead 2-1. And he hits one in the air out to center. Paul Lamini settles underneath it, and he makes the catch to retire the side. But not before the Knights take the lead back once again. Their advantage is now 2 runs. Our score headed to the home 4th, 8-6 Queens.
Number 32, Kyle Hornsby. Inside the 30. Touchdown. Michaela Burgess.
An incredible finish by Hall. The NCAA and its member schools offer nearly 500,000 college athletes a path to go pro in something other than sports. Learn more at ncaa.org.
Home fourth inning from the CSI Baseball Complex, where it's getting a bit chilly. It has gotten a bit more windy and a bit darker, as Michael Palermo will lead things off for the Dolphins in the home fourth.
Dolphins will have the top of the order here in this bottom of the fourth, and looking for the fourth straight inning to score 2 straight runs. They've scored 2 runs in all bottom of their innings, 2 in the first, 2 in the second, 2 in the third, and they look to once again tie this game. It's now 8-6 lead for the Knights.
Well, the Knights have chased CSI starting pitcher Christian Rice from the game. Rice looked poised to get through that fourth inning, but a costly error really hurt him in a bid to go further in this game. Dennis Kelly came on in relief and set the Knights aside. But Queens ahead by 2 as we play in the fourth. And this game now 90 minutes old, and we're not even in the 5th inning yet as Palermo strikes out, and there's one away.
Just about reaching the 2-hour mark on this broadcast.
Brian Burkhead at the plate now, and he takes a called strike. 6 of the 9 Dolphin hitters who have started this game have now hit safely. Dolphins with 6 hits from 6 different players. The Knights also have 6 hits from 6 different players. As that's hit sharply on the ground to short, waiting for it, and making the throw across the diamond, not in time, was Segura. It's an infield single for Brian Burkhead. Credit to him for hustling. But that ball right at the end took an awkward hop off the grass, and I think that made the difference.
And I think we all know how the infield plays a factor to some of these ground balls that are hit. Remember earlier in the game, Owen Weber had to play a ground ball hit off and took a 1 bounce, and he made a nice play to get the out at first. That one for Segura, tough bounce, led to him not making the play at first base, giving Burkhead an infield single, and now bringing the tying run to the plate in A.J. Vigliotti.
And Vigliotti takes ball 1. So Vigliotti already has a home run in this game. Grounded out his second time up. Bats here with a runner on and 1 out. And he took a big cut at that pitch as he tops it foul.
You know what he's looking for in this at-bat.
Well, we know what he was looking for on that pitch, no doubt. And the 1-1 misses for ball 2 as the rain has begun to fall.
And think about Vigliotti's at-bats in this game. His first at-bat only saw 3 pitches, hit the home run. Second at-bat saw 1 pitch to ground out, and he's now at 4 pitches in this at-bat. Hits that one foul, and now evens the count at 2. Do you see the rain? Yep, you're right. Thankfully,
yeah.
It's just a drizzle. It doesn't look too bad, but
Well, you would think it's acid rain, the way the spectators are scrambling for cover. They are booking it out of here. This place emptying out very quickly as that's grounded to third. Chance for 2. And a 5-4-3 double play will bring the home fourth inning to a close. Big inning there on the mound for Jordan Sanabria. He faces the minimum. And we head to the 5th with Queens leading 8-6.
College sports.
There's light at the end of the tunnel.
A return to normal, and all we love about sports.
You've instilled resilience, focus, and selflessness in us. We've put those lessons to work.
We've found strength and unity in each other.
You continue to take us places we never imagined.
You bring out the best in us.
So when we look forward, we see the light at the end of the tunnel.
We see a better world for all of us and for college sports.
Phil Carpata will lead things off for the Knights here in the 5th, as we had some rainfall here at the CSI Baseball Complex, though.
Still going a little bit.
A little bit?
Yeah.
I'm not sure it's still coming down like it was a couple of minutes ago.
Yeah. It's a little light drizzle, but nothing. The sun's still kind of, pouring out, which is good to see.
Many of the spectators taking cover under the bleachers.
I did see that.
Can't see much from there, the way the bleachers are constructed, so.
Mets game even got postponed to 2:30, so.
No reason to start and then stop, as that's taken up and in. Count 2 balls and 2 strikes. Carpata, 3 at-bats, 3 walks. And he goes down swinging.
All important first out, considering what Carpata brings on the base path. We've already seen what he's done today with a couple stolen bases. So huge first out for Kelly right here to start the 5th.
That will bring up Robert Jacobson. Jacobson 0 for 2 in this game. He takes low and outside for ball 1.
And he'll be hit by the pitch, so he'll be on first base.
So a hit batter gives Queens a 1-out base runner. And the Dolphins in this game thus far have made things really tough on themselves with free passes, whether it be a hit batter or a walk. Dolphins have put a lot of nights on without those nights having to earn their way on base. Not to mention the 3 CSI errors. First pitch to your 6 Jimenez misses high. And the 1-0 misses upstairs for ball 2.
Dolphins not happy with that call. They were not happy with that call right there.
One unique aspect of calling games here at baseball and over at softball, you can hear every reaction to every pitch and every play. More so at softball, where we're seated right next to the dugout.
Mm-hmm.
But here at baseball, you can hear it just the same. Count now 2-1 as they check on the runner at first.
And it's a bad where the Dolphins obviously know the impact Jimenez brings to this night's lineup. They want to get the strike calls, not be, I swing and a miss there to make the count 2-2. They don't want to be squeezed by the strike zone and miss a pitch because they missed by a couple of inches.
That was a big swing there by Jimenez. Count now even at 2-2. And the 2-2 is in for a called strike 3. So Jimenez goes down looking for the second time in this game. And there are now 2 away.
So a nice strikeout right there from Kelly to get the second out of the inning. As you mentioned, Jimenez goes down looking for the second time. And this one is it now brings up Mark Cisco with 2 outs in the inning.
Cisco 1 for 2 at the plate. He's also drawn a walk in this game. And he takes a strike on the inside corner.
Nice breaking ball right there from Kelly to get that first pitch strike.
Comes the 0-1. Runner going. I pitch a called strike. Throw to second. Not in time. Another stolen base in this game for Queens. And this time it's Jacobson taking second.
Jacobson got a good head start. He got a good jump immediately after the pitch was thrown from Kelly. Just got into second base on time.
That pitch misses for ball 1.
Nice block behind the plate from Kehoe, keeping Jacobson at second. So now Cisco has an RBI opportunity to try to extend this Queens lead.
Count 1-2. And Kelly delivers outside. Count even at 2 balls and 2 strikes on the night's second baseman. That's hit to third. Weigel waits for it and throws across the diamond in time to retire the side. Good inning of relief from Dennis Kelly. He's done a nice job out of the Dolphins' bullpen and has kept this a 2-run game. Our score headed to the home fifth. Queens 8, Staten Island 6.
Across divisions, sports, championships, and schools for nearly 500,000 student athletes. College sports create lifelong opportunity, and that starts with education. We've raised the academic bar, so more are earning degrees, creating healthier campuses by working with the nation's brightest minds, and making sure more have the chance to succeed and are supported on their journey. But beyond the numbers, it's about opportunity, and we're working to provide it for every student athlete.
Chris Polomini will lead off the home fifth inning for the Dolphins. CSI trailing by 2 runs. Dolphins trailed by as many as 4 heading into the home second. They scored 2 in that inning. 2 in each of the first 3 for CSI as Polomini grounds one toward the middle. And that gets by diving shortstop and into center field for a base hit.
Scarra tried to make a nice dive up the middle, but even if he made the play and he was pretty much in shallow center field, would have been a tough play for him to get that ball. So a nice piece of hitting from Polomini. And Vincent Weigel now, once again, represents the tying run at the plate for the Dolphins.
Vincent Weigel will be the batter.
And he gave a good ride the last time he came up to the plate. Almost had a game-tying 2-run homer. Was able to get an RBI double and get the Dolphins back within a run.
Weigel 1 for 2 in this game. Polomini, a good runner over at first. Among the conference leaders in stolen bases, he's climbing up those ranks as Weigel takes ball 2.
Early on, Weigel in the driver's seat. Saw a couple of at-bats earlier where the Dolphins have had an early lead in the count, and they've been able to get some hits.
And Weigel looks at a strike.
And thankfully, after that little bit of a shower from the forecast, now the sun's starting to creep back in. Polomini's going to second.
Throw on its way, not in time. And Polomini has another stolen base, his second of the game.
Races the double play ball, and now for Weigel, he's up 3-1 in the count.
See if I have the stolen base numbers for Polomini on the season readily available here.
It looks like Polomini got some dirt in his eyes on his way to second base, so he's okay now.
All right, that stolen base was number 19. 2 in this game. The next one will be 20. We saw him steal third earlier. Can't rule it out.
Thought about it for a second there.
Weigel takes strike 2. Three balls and 2 strikes the count. Sanabria checks on Polomini. And Weigel dumps one into shallow right field for a base hit. Polomini will score easily. Weigel takes a big turn, and he will stop at first. As he's made it a 1-run game with an RBI single, it's now 8-7.
I mentioned Weigel earlier in the pregame, how he's been red hot these last couple of weeks. He is showing it once again here today, as another RBI hit for him makes this now a 1-run game once again. as he gets that bloop single into right field. And with the right fielder playing pretty much not even shallow field, it was a slow dribbler into right field. So easily run for Polomita to go from second to home.
Can't afford to play shallow on a day like today. Sanabria thought about second on the bunt, and they will throw Weber out at first. Sacrifice successful. Weigel in scoring position, just one out. And Anthony Agostinelli will be the batter.
Nice job by the Dolphins right there, using small ball right there with that bunt attempt, and now giving the Dolphins another RBI opportunity for Agostinelli, who has reached bases a couple times so far in this game.
Now, it's easy to overlook it, but watching Major League games more in the past couple of weeks than I have in the last couple of years, something I've noticed is that's chopped toward the middle. Long run from short, and the stop is made in shallow center by Segura. That will save a run, but for now it's an infield single for Anthony Agostinelli, and the Dolphins move the tying run to third, and Nico Rodriguez is coming to the plate.
We've seen Rodriguez already in this game making an impact, looking to do it once again and try to tie this game at 8.
Rodriguez comes to the plate here with runners on the corners, one away. He's 0 for 2 thus far. That's in for strike. But to elaborate on my point from before, as I lost my train of thought with the ball put in play, the Dolphins' ability to bunt and execute in those situations and play small ball
right on cue
may result in a double play here, and Rodriguez is out. And that is brutal.
That's one where I don't know if I agree with the call.
You know, I think what the Dolphins were going for was tying the game in a situation where it's almost all but certain, right? You think Rodriguez is going to beat out
he almost
a
did.
bunt. Yeah, but that was not a good bunt. He bunted it right back at the pitcher. That's the only way they're turning to there. Also, if Sanabria had chosen to do so, he could have come home. Weigel would have been out by a wide margin as well. So that one stings if you're the Dolphins, and perhaps one could argue that I jinxed them. As we will head to break,
not the first,
CSI
not the
trailing
last.
by 1.
If I lose, I'll respond with respect.
If I win, I'll back it up with humility.
If I fail, I'll rise up with honor.
It's tough for us to put it all on the line.
Don't undo my hard work with poor sportsmanship.
Respect. It's the name of the game.
Sixth inning from the CSI Baseball Complex, with the Dolphins trailing by a run. And Nick, CSI with 2 outs in that last inning, tried to get this game tied with a bunt by Nico Rodriguez. And I was about to say right before he bunted the ball that you can't take for granted a team's ability to execute in those situations, to get the bunt down, to move the runner over. Dolphins do so successfully more often than not. That situation, a unique one, not a sacrifice situation. As the 6th inning opens with a strikeout, Joey Patain goes down looking, and there's one away. But in that situation, that's a call that you don't see very often. And looking at it, even though it didn't work, I still liked it, only because you have to expect Rodriguez to beat out a bunt and not get doubled up. The bunt just wasn't a good one.
It just went to the one spot that it unfortunately did not need to go to, right back to the mound. If it goes down one of those baselines, that's easily going to bring home the run, and Rodriguez reaches first base safely.
I think, and again, I don't know if the call came in from the bench or not. I personally like the idea, bunting in that situation. I don't know if you did, but
I wasn't a fan originally, but I could see where they're coming from in doing it.
I think in that situation, you're in your mind saying they're not aligned defensively for this. The infield was not in. And unless the pitcher ends up with the ball, you'll score the run from third. Well, the ball ended up with the pitcher, and they turned 2. That being said, I thought the bunt wasn't a bad idea. Didn't work out. It's a one-run game. And Dennis Kelly has come out of the bullpen dealing. And he's getting a good deal of swings and misses here, and you have to like seeing that.
And now 1 strike away. He was down 3-0 in this count as that worked his way back full 3-2.
Francis Segura was the batter, and he draws a walk.
And if he can get another inning of relief right here and bring the Dolphins into the bottom of the 6th inning, that'd be crucial for CSI because obviously with the 2 9-inning games here today, they love to get some inning of relief from their bullpen after Christian Rice was taken out early.
There are still some more hot dogs down there. I have to head down in between innings.
Question is, are they? Did the rain affect them?
It's a good question.
Hopefully they were covered up.
Can't have soggy bunts.
Nope.
Bobby Gitto at the plate here. Yeah, I'm not going to say that again. I don't like that.
Yeah. That just didn't sound right.
I don't know. After I said it, I was like, eh.
Then I kind of gave you like the side look, like, huh?
Yeah. 2-0 the count now on Gitto.
Hopefully this weather stays the same on Tuesday.
So on Tuesday, we have students versus faculty and staff flag football. Following our dominance last season, the students are out for revenge, hoping to get their win back.
They were not happy about that game last year. They took it out on us in basketball.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair.
So we're looking for our revenge in a sense.
One could say. Last year went about as well as it could have in flag football. I'm not sure we could have played any better.
Did we score 50 in that game?
If we didn't, we were awfully close.
We were probably at 49 if we didn't score 50.
Yeah, it was very close as that sliced foul. So in that game last year, I've mentioned it several times, but basketball went so poorly that I'm going to mention it again. I scored rushing, receiving, passing, and on defense.
I caught the first pass of the game, did nothing else after that.
Hey, you got on the stat sheet. That's what matters.
I got the ball rolling for us to start the game.
Meanwhile, it's another full count here as it's 3-2 on Gitto.
At least I got on the stat sheet in that game because I didn't get it on basketball.
I did get on in basketball.
Oh, wait, no, I missed a shot. So technically, I did get in the stat
sheet. Yeah, so you did appear.
Yeah. Now I brought back bad memories of how I took that shot because it was not a good one.
And they'll check on the runner ahead of a 3-2 pitch.
Let's just say the ball did not hit the rim.
I attempted one field goal, and it was a missed three-pointer.
Thought you attempted more than that. You only attempted one shot?
Well, that's ball 4. Technically, I attempted 2, but I was fouled on the other.
Oh, right.
I don't think I attempted any other shots. I was fouled on my first attempt, hit a free throw, 1 of 2, and then I missed a three-pointer. I think that was it. One away in the inning. Now 2 on following the walk. And Michael Velarde looks at a pitch that rolls to the backstop. Wild pitch by Kelly. Moves 2 into scoring position. And now a big opportunity here for Velarde to make this a 3-run game with a base hit.
And because of that, it takes the double play ball away. So that's going to force the Dolphins infield now to come in and make sure that one of these runs do not score, and they can keep this a 1-run game.
Infield in, and the 1-0 is in for a strike. Dolphins out-hitting Queens in this game 10-6. The Knights with 2 in scoring position without the benefit of a hit in this inning. As that's popped up on the infield, Rodriguez back, and he has it. That's a huge second out for Dennis Kelly and the Dolphins.
Now 1 out away from escaping this jam, as they'll be up to Nick Barrios for the Knights here to try to bring home those 2 runners in scoring position.
So Nick Barrios will come to the plate here. 2 in scoring position and 2 outs. Barrios 1 for 3 in this game. Big spot for him. And he takes a strike.
Remind me during the commercial break, I have to give you some updates on the next game. They've been giving updates on the other games that are currently taking place.
Good news if you're a fan of the Sixers. So that's fouled away.
We saw a couple of Sixers fans, obviously, last week in Philadelphia.
Just a few.
Just a few.
A lot of WrestleMania-themed Sixers T-shirts as well.
Maybe too many Eagle fans, though.
That's sliced foul.
But that was to be expected.
And Nick, I think John Esposito has made his way in the building.
He has. He's in his pink.
Love to see it. Esposito, of course, signed a professional contract with the Staten Island Ferry Hawks. That was last season. I think he re-signed as well.
And they recently just signed Pablo Sandoval, former World Series champion from the San Francisco Giants.
Ferry Hawks making moves. I attended a couple of games last year. I think we'll head back again this year.
Sure we will.
If you give me those all-you-can-eat tickets, I certainly will. As that's hit out to right. And the catch is made by Palermo to retire the side. Dennis Kelly escapes trouble in the 6th, and he keeps this a 1-run game. Our score, Queens 8, Staten Island 7.
When all eyes are on the court, we're focused on what matters most, preparing college athletes for a lifetime of opportunity. After the buzzer, off the court, it's about education and working to earn a degree. Creating healthier campuses through groundbreaking research and policies. And a fair shot so dreams can stay on track. United as an association, we've got work to do. We're building a pathway to lifelong opportunity.
No soggy buns, Nick. I went and got my hot dog.
I didn't think you were going to say it again.
We were having a good laugh about it during the break, so I felt like I had to.
Okay.
But the buns were actually covered, so was able to get another hot dog. Now, I need to keep it away from the window. It might blow away. Nice breeze here. If you take a look at the flag out in left field, flag whipping around out there.
As I mentioned, the sun is back in play, so always a good sign to see there as well.
Minus about 5 minutes of rain. A beautiful day here at the CSI Baseball Complex.
And we still have one more game to go.
Nick, this is going to be an all-time long day.
I saw after the first inning how long the first inning went, and I said, we could be in for one, and we are certainly in for one right now.
That being said, it's been a very entertaining game as
Absolutely.
Michael Kehoe takes strike one. And the last couple of innings have moved very quickly. And the 3-1's in for a knee-high strike. So the count on Kehoe is full, 3-2. Michael's 1 for 2 at the plate, had a 2-run homer earlier. And he goes down swinging here.
How about Sanabria? Down 3-0 in the count, got 3 straight strikes. Retires Kehoe for the first out of the inning.
And that will bring up Michael Palermo. That pitch is in the dirt for ball 1. Palermo 0 for 3 in this game. As that's hit out to center. That ball carrying well, and it's finally caught in deep center field.
Good job by Kerpada right there out in center field. Track that one down.
Kerpada ranging back further and stumbling toward the warning track. Sometimes those get tough. You can easily lose your footing going back on a ball like that.
Yeah.
He handled it perfectly.
I will say, talking about go back to the time comment we had earlier. Thankfully, WrestleMania was not this week, and it was last week.
We would have made it work as that sliced foul.
You think so?
I think if I put my mind to it, I can make anything work. And if WrestleMania had been this weekend, I would have been prepared to broadcast the game remotely. If you and I were staying together, we could have done the game remotely from the same location.
Right.
Wouldn't that be something?
That would be an interesting
That would
broadcast.
be very interesting. I'm not sure exactly how well that would work, but I can tell you this. I tested it and did so extensively over the weekend. I had to make sure all the streams were unlisted on our Sportsnet YouTube channel. Nobody wants to see a broadcast out of my basement. But that ball's ripped off the glove of the leaping first baseman and into right field for a base hit. Patain got a glove on it, but could not bring it in. And it's a 2-out double for Brian Burkhead as CSI has the tying run in scoring position once again.
That was just a scorcher down the first base line. Really can't blame Patain right there for not making the catch. And now, as you mentioned, the tying run goes into scoring position with that double. And A.J. Vigliotti would love to do some damage right here. Already has a home run to his day so far. And they just gave him the 4. He goes first base on an intentional walk.
You don't see it too often, but every once in a while, you'll see that intentional free pass without having to throw a pitch.
It's an interesting scenario, too, because with Polomini coming up, he's obviously had himself a nice start to the day as well. And obviously with the 5-run RBI day in Game 2 yesterday, it's tough to really walk the number 3 batter intentionally to get to the number 4 batter in the lineup.
Yeah, you know, the way that Polomini's been swinging the bat, it's a pick-your-poison situation. Vigliotti red hot as well. Polomini ahead 1-0, grounds one toward the hole on the left side. The throw goes to third, and that is the right play as they get the force at third, and the side is retired. So the Dolphins get the tying run in scoring position once again, but cannot bring that run home. And we head to the 7th with Queens leading by 1.
On and off the court, we're focused on creating lifelong opportunity, and that starts with education. More college athletes are earning degrees than ever before, but we've still got work to do. That's why we're raising the bar for incoming freshmen, so they're prepared when they get to campus. and why teams can't play in championships unless they make the grade. Education matters, and putting academics first creates a pathway to a lifetime of opportunity.
Phil Kirpata will lead off an inning for the third time in this game. Of course, he led off the game, led off the second, and now he will lead off the seventh as he takes strike one. And Nick, how about Dennis Kelly and his performance out of the Dolphins bullpen in a game where their starter didn't get through the fourth? Kelly came into this game and has given the Dolphins some much-needed relief and has done so very effectively.
And last inning, he got himself into a jam but worked out of it. And gets another inning of relief here in the seventh. Try to keep this a one-run lead for Queens to try to give the Dolphins a chance to tie or take the lead in the bottom half of the inning.
Something you and I talked about before we came on the air that we didn't talk about during the pregame is how rarely we have seen two teams split two conference games. So unusual. I mean, two teams split a four-game series.
Right.
Splitting two games we've seen, but it's so rare to see a team split a four-game series with another conference foe. It just hasn't worked out that way in the years that we've been covering the Dolphins together. And generally speaking, back when the series were only 3 games, you obviously didn't have the opportunity to see teams split 2-2. But I can't recall the last time we saw a series split 2 games apiece.
You could just tell between these two teams that they're basically evenly matched. And you get we've already gotten 2 games already that have been down to the wire yesterday in Queens. And this one's going down to the wire as well. And who knows what happens at game number 2 here today. So these two teams are putting out a show for sure. I was going to say for sure, but that just didn't sound right.
For sure. I did say soggy buns now 3 times. Though it was raining, and we do have hot dog buns out there on the cart.
Yeah.
So counts 0-2 on Robert Jacobson, and he takes down an
Usually I would
ball.
blame it being a long week, but it's only our second broadcast of the week.
It was supposed to be a long week.
It was supposed to originally.
I tell you, the rain early in the season, complete non-factor. We went almost a month, more than a month, because we started in late February.
Yeah.
We went well over a month without rain impacting our schedule much at all. I think we had 1 game pushed back from a Friday to a Monday, and that was it. As that pitch is on the inside corner for a called strike 3. And Jacobson goes down looking for out number 2.
Kelly just continues to impress here today. Another strikeout added to his tally. Still no action up in the Dolphin bullpen. Dolphins may be looking to get him another inning of relief, potentially, if he can get another 1-2-3 inning here.
Your 6 Jimenez, the batter, comes to the plate with the bases empty. That's just how you'd like to face him. He's 1 for 3, doubled into the right field corner earlier. That double came between 2 strikeouts.
Dolphins have done a good job of keeping him off the bases here today.
And he takes a strike on the inside corner. That's fouled off. I think something Kelly's done well in this game is when he's fallen behind in the count, he hasn't let too many of those at-bats get away. He does have 3 walks, but generally speaking, they haven't come easily. The batter's been forced to work a bit, and he hasn't given up a hit yet. So it's much easier to work around the walks when you're not giving up hits. He also has 4 strikeouts, so he's been able to put hitters away. He's ahead 1-2 here, and that's grounded to short. Rodriguez on the backhand knocks the ball back up into his throwing hand, but the throw is not in time, and Rodriguez can't believe it.
Neither can A.J. Vigliotti at first base. We'll have to get a second look in the replay and see. It was a very close play at first base. Doing regular speed first, and then we'll try to go. It's tough to tell there. I'll have to slow it down the next chance we can get.
Mark Cisco will be the batter. It's an infield single for Jimenez now, and he, of course, is a threat to run. Dolphins would be wise to keep an eye on him. Let me know what you see on the replay, Nick.
Did we call that a commentator's jinx, considering before the pitch you said he hadn't given up a hit?
I think you have to, Nick. Put another one in the column for the jinx.
Let's see, slow motion, how close it was.
Jinx Prime strikes again.
I think they had the right call.
He looked safe in real time. Half swing there. It's hit to third. Weigel charging, and the ball gets under his glove. It's backed up by Rodriguez, and Jimenez will stop at second.
Now, what do you mark that one as?
I have to see the replay. I'm inclined to say it's a hit.
I think I'm also inclined to say that.
They gave an error on that. I don't know about that. Let me see. You'd have to pause it so we can see where the runner is.
Hold on. I'll do a second replay after this next pitch.
Yeah. My instinct is hit. He had to charge a long way. That's not a routine play.
Let's see where the ball is, where the runner is. So you're going down there. He stops there. Ball goes under his glove there.
It comes down to whether or not you think that's routine, but that's a base hit into right center, and whether that play goes down officially as a hit or an error, that one stings. As a run comes home, it's an RBI single to make it a 9-7 game off the bat of Joey Patain.
Patain with a very productive at-bat, giving his team now a 9-7 lead, so that previous play certainly a huge, and not only that play as well, but the play at first base also. 2 crucial, plays where the Dolphins looked like they had a chance to get out and get out of the inning, and now the 2-out rally for the Knights gives them a 2-run lead.
I think where the runner is, Nick, that has to stand as an error.
Yeah.
I think where the runner was on the baseline, that has to stand. It was hit hard enough. I think that has to stand.
I think because of where the runner was, and if Weigel obviously fields it, then I think they definitely can get the out at first base.
Yeah.
But just a tough break for CSI right there.
Yeah. I think that has to stand as an error.
So it's officially going to go down as the Dolphins' 4th error now at the game. And we saw a couple of errors for both of these teams as well in both games yesterday.
Well, the run will be unearned. I think that's something else that comes into play as well. That ball fouled off. And Francis Segura has a 1-1 count.
Trajectory now of this inning has certainly changed. Like Dennis Kelly was in for another 1-2-3 inning. But the infield single, the error, it prolonged it. So that goes foul down the third base line. Count now goes to 1-2.
At the plate in this game, Segura 1 for 3. And he went around there. As that's a swinging third strike. And the side is retired. But not before the Knights tack on a run. Their lead is back to 2 once again. Our score, Queens 9, Staten Island 7.
My path to a college degree would have been completely different had I not run Division II cross country for the University of Mount Olive. Having an athletic and academic scholarship was key for my success. Our coaches were really helpful with balancing out my academics and athletics. I decided to attend graduate school because I wanted to become an athletic director. Receiving the postgraduate scholarship through the NCAA provided me with the flexibility to choose the school that I wanted. So now I know that I can accomplish any goal that I set for myself.
Home seventh inning from the CSI Baseball Complex. Dolphins now trail by 2. We took a look back at the replay and confirmed that the play at third does have to go down as an error. Not an incredibly easy play for Weigel, but one that he had plenty of time to make. He's ahead 2-0 here. Leading off this inning for the Dolphins, he swings 2-0 and hits one to short. And there's the first out of the inning.
Dolphins certainly had a couple of chances in this game. Obviously tied it at one point at 6-6, but they've had some chances to not only tie the game but take the lead. But Sanabria has gotten some necessary outs when needed the most to keep his team up on top.
Owen Weber will be the batter for the Dolphins. And he sends one foul into the parking lot. Or not quite.
Close
Almost.
enough.
Almost. Weber behind 0-1. He's 1 for 2 at the plate in this game. And that gets by to the backstop. Dolphins need a base runner to bring the tying run to the plate. They still have 8 outs to play with as that's popped up. Foul. Just curious to see if that would contact the backstop or not.
Looks similar to the foul ball we saw at softball a couple of days ago.
Count now 1-2 on Weber. He has a very crouched batting stance. Didn't really pick up on it until now. Count even at 2 on the Dolphins' second baseman. And he takes ball 3.
This thing's now starting to fly, even the door as well.
The wind beginning to wreak havoc up here in the booth. Objects blowing all over the place right now.
Weber hits that one foul down the left field line.
Count 3 balls and 2 strikes. And Weber draws the walk. Weber sprinting to first just in case. Catcher Berrios didn't get back there quickly enough. And Anthony Agostinelli will be the batter.
And he will represent the tying run once again for the Dolphins as they trail now by 2 runs here in the 7th. Now officially down to their final 8 outs in this game.
Entering this at bat, we have Sanabria at 111 pitches. You have to think this will be it for him.
Yeah. They do have action up in their bullpen.
And Agostinelli chops from foul.
Agostinelli has a hit to his day. Had an infield single up the middle.
Pitch on its way. That's grounded to third. Played on a hop there to second for 1. And the throw to first not in time. So Agostinelli beats out the double play. However, the lead runner Weber is erased. And there are now 2 gone.
So Nico Rodriguez comes up here with 2 away. And obviously his last at bat was the aforementioned bunt that he tried to head up the, at least try to bring home the tying run at that point in time. But the bunt went right back to the mound. It led to an inning double play. I'll try to keep the inning going here with 2 outs in the 7th.
And Rodriguez takes high for ball 1. Comes the 1-0. That's it out to right. And once again, there's nobody there in shallow right field. So the second baseman has to range over and make the catch. Cisco had a long way to go in order to get to that one. But he makes the grab. And the side is retired. The Dolphins are turned aside in the 7th. They remain behind by 2 runs. Our score headed to the 8th. Queens 9, Staten Island 7.
The legacy began in 1973. That was the year NCAA Division II was born. And since the very first day, our division has shaped generations of student athletes with a true sense of academics, athletics, and community. That is 5 decades of graduations, championships, teamwork, and personal development. 50 years of shaping student athletes into world-class leaders. NCAA Division II. Our division, our legacy.
Eighth inning from the CSI Baseball Complex. Dolphins trail 9-7. Dolphins scored 6 through the first 3 innings, have scored just 1 since. And Nick, how about the effort on the mound from Jordan Sanabria in this game? It looked like he may get chased early. We saw his counterpart, Christian Rice, chased from the game in the 4th, but Sanabria gets through 7, and that is absolutely huge on a day where these two teams will play 2 9-inning games.
And I think what did it was great for him, obviously, that I mentioned the last half inning, that double play ball on the bunt attempt from Rodriguez. Since that has happened, he's had 2 straight scoreless innings, so he's done a great job of bouncing back. Despite giving up the 7 runs, he's now gone through 7, as you mentioned.
That's at a mile high out to left field by Bobby Gitto. Burkhead fighting the sun makes the catch, and there's 1 away.
Didn't have to deal with that earlier in this game, but now with the sun, as I mentioned, back in, now it's going to be a factor for the rest of this game and obviously game number 2.
That will bring up Michael Velarde. Velarde hitless in 3 at-bats in this game.
Stuck out of the way on that one.
Ooh, watch out. If I had those kind of evasive maneuvers in my repertoire when the foul balls came up here in the booth, you wouldn't be able to touch me.
Your ribs would be okay.
Yeah. I was about to make a joke about how many ribs I would have instead of the amount I do have, but to my shame, I've never actually counted how many ribs a human being has. That's embarrassing. I should know that.
I don't know that.
You don't know that?
No.
No? I'd guess 10. The full rib cage, 10?
Sure.
You're looking at me like yeah.
I
Can't help you, bud.
Yeah, I definitely can't help you.
Maybe 8? Now I have to look it up.
Yeah.
Comes the 1 and 2. And Velarde takes up and away.
Speaking of someone that has also had a great impact in this game, how about Dennis Kelly? We mentioned the last inning. He's given the Dolphins some quality innings, and if not for a couple plays in the infield, would have had another scoreless inning of relief.
Oh, my goodness, Nick. Oh, backside, 24.
Oh.
12 on each side, so
Okay.
it's 6 top to bottom. I'm thinking 8 to 10. That's after you get the rib removal surgery so that you have no waste. That's actually a thing, unfortunately, as that swung on and missed. People do anything today.
Biology lessons here with CSI Sportsnet.
Oh, that is really embarrassing. It's been a very long time, though. I think I took biology here at CSI, I'd like to say, in my junior year. It was either my sophomore year or my junior year. And I have no idea why I was in that class. Couldn't tell you. Nothing to do with my major.
I know. I had to take that, too.
Yeah.
And I had nothing to do with my major either.
Nick Berrios, the batter. Berrios 1 for 4. He's ahead here, 2-0.
Shows you how much attention I paid.
Yeah, you know, my attendance habits weren't exactly the best when I was a student. Whether it be in college or in high school. I think high school was worse. However, my grades were excellent.
Okay. That's all that matters.
That's, well, not according to the people in charge at my school.
Well,
we won't talk about where I went because I wreaked havoc on their attendance numbers. I've said it before.
Okay.
I've said it before.
Yeah.
You know where I went, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I wreaked havoc on the attendance numbers, and they didn't like that. As that ground ball will end the inning.
Des Kelly wreaks another inning of havoc right there, out of relief.
No chaos on the base paths, just the way he likes it.
Right.
Great job in relief by Kelly as we head to the home eighth with CSI trailing 9-7. T Aesthetics Med Spa and Wellness Center. Our approach to beauty and wellness begins with a holistic plan tailored to the unique needs of our patients. When we consult with patients, we let them tell us what their problem is. We don't tell them what the issue is. We find out what they're looking for, and we discuss, and then we give them options. If you're looking to achieve radiant skin, you've come to the right place. We offer hydrofacials, microneedling, Opus Plasma, peels, facial and laser treatments, laser hair removal, body sculpting, fat freezing, hormone replacement therapy, Botox, IV drip therapy, and more. We are open Monday through Saturday and are located at 720 Forest Avenue, Staten Island, New York, 10310. We hope to see you soon. Visit our website at www.chiaesthetics.com for more information. And we are back from the CSI Baseball Complex, where a new pitcher is into the game for Queens. Number 16, Evan Christopher, will come on in relief for the Knights, and we'll get you his numbers on the season in just a moment. Our internet, a bit better today. We got one of the wired lines back up and working. However, the wireless still leaving much to be desired. Christopher on the season comes in having appeared in 10 games, including one start. He's pitched to a 9.22 ERA. In 13 2/3, he's allowed 20 hits and 17 runs, 14 of those earned. He has walked 12 and struck out 8. Opposing batters hitting at .339 against him.
They'll face 9-1-2 here in the bottom of the 8th, Joe. Kehoe, Palermo, and Burkhead. Dolphins still trailing by 2 runs.
Michael Kehoe will be the batter for the Dolphins. Kehoe 1 for 3 in this game with a 2-run homer. That pitch is in for a strike. Dolphins have trailed for much of this game. They got even in the 3rd, fell behind immediately in the top of the 4th. And have trailed since that time as Kehoe hits one well toward the left field corner, but that lands foul.
Looking to make a bid for a 2-homer game.
Not a bad bid right there, as that one was about 5 feet wide of the foul pole off the base of the wall. Count 1 ball and 2 strikes on the Dolphins catcher. That misses up and in. 9-1-2 due up for the Dolphins here in the 8th. Kehoe, Palermo, and Burkhead. Burkhead is 3 for 4. You'd love to get a runner on in front of him. And Kehoe takes ball 3. Comes the 3-2. That's popped up a mile high on the infield. Who will get it? And the pitcher, Christopher, will get it. 1 gone. Michael Palermo will be the batter now. Palermo 0 for 4 at the plate, hitting out of the leadoff spot. One of 2 Dolphins without a hit. And Palermo's now 0 for 5. 2 away in the inning, and Brian Burkhead will be the batter.
Burkhead would love to extend the inning here for CSI and bring the tying run up to the plate again, which would be A.J. Vigliotti. But if he were to go down, CSI would have 3, 4, and 5 up in the 9th inning, as they're still trailing by 2 runs.
This score looks awfully familiar. The final in Game 1 yesterday. Dolphins were able to hold on, as Nick mentioned. They had the batter's interference call to end the game. The 0-1 pitch to Burkhead is fouled off.
That went right off of him.
Oof. Those do not feel good. You just hope to catch it off a spot with a little more meat. In other words, not the knee, not the shin, not the ankle. You're hoping for a calf, maybe. Best case would be the quad.
We really are going full biology lessons here today.
I have to show off that I know something after I said the human body has 8 ribs.
I would have.
No, I was only counting the front side.
I would have believed you. I would have second guessed it.
I still wasn't close. Count now 1 and 2 on Burkhead. And that's on the inside corner for a called strike 3. Burkhead didn't like the call as he goes down looking. And the Dolphins are set down 1-2-3 in the 8th. We head to the 9th with Queens looking for some insurance. They lead 9-7.
No, I'm right. The podcast that uncovers the origin stories of some of the biggest names in sports, media, and entertainment. Nick Durst here along with Joe Calabrese.
Here we are, 200 episodes later, about 150 episodes with guests, our friends, soon to be your friends.
Well, it's pretty clear, Joe, that it's all about You Know I'm Right, the podcast. That's my You Know I'm Right moment. Wanted to do a podcast, and everyone was like, what are you, crazy? Who's going to listen? You're not going to get guests. Well, guess what? I'm the best when it comes to getting guests. You could vouch for that.
I am so happy that you asked me to do this. I couldn't have been more thrilled. And follow us on socials. Check us out. I promise you, if you want to work in media, whether you work in media now, whether you want to quit your job and work in media, come to us, and I promise you, we will get you on the right foot.
That's what it's all about, uncovering the origin stories of some of the biggest names in sports, media, and entertainment. Keep it locked on You Know I'm Right.
Ninth inning from the CSI Baseball Complex, where the Dolphins trail by 2, and they will turn to Matthew Polomini out of the bullpen. But, Nick, before we get you the numbers on Polomini, how about the job that Dennis Kelly did in relief? He gave the Dolphins some huge innings of scoreless relief. He gave up, I believe, just the 1 hit during his time in the game.
That was that infield single, yes, and then obviously the error was the reason why that run came to score. But if not for that happening, Dennis Kelly had himself a great job out of relief. You mentioned it. He came in a tough spot where the Dolphins were trailing early on. They had to take Christian Rice out of the game, and he kept it scoreless throughout the entire way. Obviously, that 7th inning he would love to have back from that infield single and then the error. But no, other than that happening, Dennis Kelly kept the Dolphins in this game, and they'll still have a chance now here in the 9th. It'll be up to Polomini to keep them within 2 runs as they try to tie it or walk it off in the bottom half of the 9th inning.
So he gave up 2 hits after coming in. One was the run-scoring hit. I forgot about that one.
Right.
That was the important one. But that came after an error. The run was unearned. The only run that Kelly allowed goes down as unearned. Christian Rice gave up 6 earned runs of 8 as that's hit out to right field. And on 1 pitch, Phil Capata is retired for out number 1.
This is a game where right now the difference is 2 runs, but obviously the Dolphins with 2 extra errors compared to Queens, those 2 extra errors are the reason why we're in the score. Remember, we had the outfield error with Burkhead that led to a run, and the error with Weigel in the field led to that other run. So that's the difference right now of this game between these 2 teams.
Long look in from Polomini, and he delivers high. At the plate here, Robert Jacobson. Jacobson is 0 for 3. Top two hitters in the Queens lineup are combined 0 for 6. Obviously, Krapata has the walks. Jacobson has also drawn a walk as he takes a strike. Here comes the 1-1. And that's off the glove of Kehoe. Pitch missed high. Giving Kehoe some time behind the plate. Not sure where that pitch caught him. It looked like it hit off his glove. Maybe it deflected off of somewhere else following him making contact with that ball. Either way, it's 2-1. And that's it out to left center. Burkhead ranging back, and he makes the catch for out number 2.
I go a decent way for that one. The ball was certainly carrying into left field. Seen that a bunch here today. For Paul Meany, now he's retired the first 2 batters. And if we can get Jimenez down, be a 1-2-3 ninth.
The Dolphins once again will face Jimenez with the bases empty.
That's how he started that 7th inning. He reached on the infield single. Then would come around to score.
Looking ahead, as Jimenez is hit by a pitch for the second time. Certainly no intent behind that one. That was a breaking ball, but it wasn't close. And Jimenez is on with 2 outs.
And we know that he could steal bases, and obviously Knights are looking for some insurance. Trying to go into the bottom of the 9th inning.
Looking ahead, Dolphins will have 3, 4, and 5 due up in the bottom of the 9th. You can't ask for much more than that. Vigliotti, Polomini, and Weigel. At the plate here for the Knights, Mark Cisco. Cisco is 1 for 4 as Kehoe blocks another pitch in the dirt. Jimenez certainly a threat to run in this spot. And you have to wonder if that's taking Polomini's attention away from the batter just a bit. And there goes Jimenez. He steals the base easily. Pitches in for a called strike.
Michael Kehoe now will talk to him at the mound.
Well, if anything, that takes the runner off your mind for now. Though the Dolphins will still have to hold Jimenez on unless they wanted to try and take off for third, because he's certainly shown he's willing. Count 2-1 on the Knights' second baseman. That's in the dirt. First base open, the count 3-1. And that misses for ball 4. So all of a sudden, Polomini has lost his command just a bit. And that will bring up a dangerous hitter in Joey Patain.
Patain with an opportunity to bring him another run here. He's had a couple of RBIs in this game. The base hit would certainly be crucial. Queens trying to hold on to this one.
That pitch misses down and away for ball 1. Patain is 2 for 4. He's driven in 3 runs in this game. Big insurance run stands over at second base. Huge difference between a 2-run game and a 3-run game. And that is through the middle for a base hit. And that will make it a 3-run game as the throw comes home and sails to the backstop. Not a good throw there from center field. And now with no one covering the plate, a second run will come in to score. The umpire appears to be calling time, so hold on a second. Hold on a second. What exactly was the call? The umpire was signaling for time after the runner had rounded third. Apparently the run's going to count.
I wouldn't be sure what that call would be.
I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. It looked like the umpire called time as the runner was heading home.
Caught the tail end of that play. Did it get stopped? Did it get maybe like ledged into the backstop where it got stuck? I think that's not what it is.
Yeah.
What Mike Morrow's trying to say is that the ball got stuck there in the netting in between the padding and the pole. So that should have stopped that second run from coming in.
So the conversation right now is regarding whether or not the ball getting stuck between the padding and the backstop constitutes a ball out of play. And what the home plate umpire was saying is that the ball can be very easily removed from that spot, even if it was stuck. So I would assume the ball was indeed stuck. However, with the ball being so easily removed, the umpire allowed play to continue. That being said, I thought he had signaled for time before the run came home.
Right.
But it's tough to follow the ball, the umpire, and the runner all at the same time. Either way, it's now a 4-run game. That is a huge throwing error as well as a huge RBI hit. Patain has now driven in 4 runs. He ends up on third base. That's just inexcusable if you're the Dolphins.
They're now 5th error of this game, and you mentioned it.
Well, they have 6 on the outfield scoreboard.
6 field, yeah. So they gave 2 errors on that play?
I don't see how they could have.
We only had. I think there was only 4 before that.
I'm not sure. Now, checking our live stats, they also have 6, so there had to have been an error somewhere else.
Oh.
There wouldn't be 2 on that play. Maybe there were 5. We didn't see it. Not sure. Count 1 and 2. Polamini has to have this out, and he's got it. A big breaking ball is swung on and missed by Segura for strike 3, and the side is retired. But not before the Knights strike for 2 runs. One of those comes home on a throwing error. The other as the result of an RBI base hit by Joey Patain. Dolphins are down to their final 3 outs in the 9th, trailing 11-7.
Hobra, a taco joint, Staten Island, where we're proud to have shared our family-first spirit with people from throughout New York City and the world. With indoor dining available both at the bar and on the floor. Or step outside for additional seating and an outdoor bar. Serving beer that's crisp, ice cold, and worthy of a day at the beach. Cocktails that explode with flavor. And great food made with the freshest and healthiest ingredients available. Events feature food and drink specials. Live music. And the best of Staten Island nightlife. Your CSI Student ID saves you 10% on your dine-in order at Hobra. Visit us at 412 Forest Avenue, Staten Island.
We're right now having an issue with the music. We're trying to stop that right now. And thankfully we do. It's now an 11-7 lead for Queens as they were able to get a 2-out rally once again. They scored 2 runs on a throwing error in center field, so a tough break for the Dolphins. And now they're down to the final 3 outs here in the 9th inning, Joe, needing 4 runs to at least tie this game.
CSI has some work to do. A.J. Vigliotti at the plate leading things off, the count even at 1. And he takes a strike. And A.J. didn't like the call.
An interesting strike zone for this game, I will say that.
Comes the 1-2. That's fouled back as Vigliotti took a big cut there. Vigliotti fouls off another. Another 1-2 on its way. That's taken in the dirt. Vigliotti in the game, 1 for 3. Had the 2-run homer earlier. At the time, that made it a 3-2 game. Comes the 2-2. And Vigliotti takes ball 3.
So he was down 0-2, has now worked the count full. And for the Dolphins to get back into this game, they definitely need base runners.
That's fouled off.
Second inning relief, as I mentioned, for Evan Christopher. Pitched in the 8th inning, now comes back out here for the 9th, looking for a save. Get his team a crucial Game 1 win in their 9th conference win of the season.
And Vigliotti continues to battle as he fights another one off foul. Well, we spoke about how important it would be if one of these two teams could win both games. And obviously the loser of Game 1 won't have a chance to do that. Dolphins down to their last 3 outs, trailing by 4 here. As Vigliotti chops one a mile high on the infield, it takes a nice hop over it short. The throw was high, and I wasn't sure they got him.
A stretch from Batain, that one.
Well, his foot came off, but did it come back on in time?
Look at the replay. I think that's what Vigliotti was discussing with the first base umpire.
Close play, and that's a big one. Chris Polamini is the batter.
Look at the replay after this next pitch.
That's fouled off.
Did come off, but a good job at Batain. He got his foot back down.
That misses high. Evan Christopher back to the mound in this 9th inning. He came on in relief in the 8th. In a game where the two teams combined for 18 runs, we saw some very good pitching for the second half of this game.
The relief pitching has been good for both of these bullpens. Just a couple bad breaks for the Dolphins have put this lead where it's at right now.
Well, Jordan Sanabria was a different pitcher after the 3rd inning.
Right.
Dolphins threatened, but once he was able to keep the ball in the ballpark, Dolphins didn't do much. CSI out-hitting Queens 11-9 in this game, yet they trail by 4 runs. Also in this game, the Dolphins, while leading in hits by a couple of hits, have had the benefit of 2 home runs. It's not often you see a team trailing when they lead in both hits and home runs. As Polamini takes ball 3. Comes the 3-2. That's in the dirt for ball 4. So the Dolphins have a base runner. They'll need a few more here in this 9th inning, but that's a good first step. And now Vincent Weigel will be the batter.
Weigel's had himself a nice day at the plate, a couple of RBI hits. Looking to get on base and try to get some sort of rally here for the Dolphins in the 9th inning.
Vincent Weigel will be the batter, and he takes a strike. Weigel 2 for 4 in this game. Dolphins just need him to get on base here as Polamini races for second, and he's in standing.
That's now 20 now for the year.
You know, the funny thing is, I don't believe they have defensive indifference in Stat Crew for a stolen base. You can advance him.
And there's 21.
Polamini will go.
And they said Weigel was down strikes on the check swing.
All right, so Weigel goes down swinging. He is not happy about it. And it will be left to Owen Weber.
Fanatics certainly voiced their displeasures at that swing strike. So Dolphins now down to their final out on this one.
It's left to Owen Weber. He's 1 for 2. And that's in for a strike.
It's really tough to tell from the camera we have back here if he went or not, but
yeah, it's impossible. It really is impossible, though. The camera behind the plate should give a pretty decent look.
That's what we just replayed.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, when you said back here, for some reason, my mind went straight to the camera next to us.
Didn't look like he moved the bat at all, but again, you can't really tell from the angle we have.
Yeah, the man with the best view makes the call. That's what I always say.
Yeah.
That doesn't stop us from disagreeing sometimes, but have to defer to the guy who's paid to do it. As that's chopped to second, and that will do it for this ball game as the Knights have taken game 1 of 2 from the Dolphins here at the CSI Baseball Complex. They've now won the last 2 in this 4-game series with one more game to go coming up next.
They get their 9th conference win out of the season, now 9-6 on the season in East Coast Conference play. Dolphins with the loss dropped to 7-8. And it's a game show in which the Dolphins certainly had a lot of opportunities to take the lead at some point. You know, down 6-2, they got the game tied at 6. They then trailed 8-6, made it 8-7. They just could not get anything going after that. And unfortunately, some bad breaks in the later innings of this one really did them in. A couple of errors as well. A huge difference in this game as they lose a tough one that they certainly would like to have back.
Yeah, I think the errors are something the Dolphins certainly would like to clean up, and had it not been for some of those errors, the game may have been a bit closer. I think a big play in this game came when the Dolphins had a chance to potentially tie the score. Rodriguez attempted the bunt with 2 on base and ended up bunting into a double play. That one obviously stung at the time, and the Dolphins did have some opportunities go by, but you have to be encouraged by the way you pitched in the second half of this game. The Dolphins only allowed the 3 runs over the last 5 innings, and a couple of those, I believe, were unearned, so that's something to keep in mind as well. Either way, the Dolphins dropped this game by 4, and they'll have a chance to earn a split in this 4-game series coming up next in Game 2. But until then, this has been Joe Foreman alongside Nick Pavona on the call for CSI Sportsnet. Once again, Nick and I will be back for Game 2 right back here on the ECC Network. That game should be getting started in approximately 30 minutes. Until then, thanks for watching, and be sure to tune in for the final game of this 4-game series